Jerks. Unbreakable. I'm fucking dancing to my theme song. Fucking, it's funny. Fucking, I gave him any input to create that. That was SK27 Music created the video and the intro. Thank you so much, Scott. Gets me a little pumped up. I get a little. I'm ready to go today. There's been a lot of breaking news of the Reed world and a little drama and people trying to suck me back, and it's not happening. I'm in just such a good mood. Not playing any of that tonight. I will say that Karen Reed is expected to be back in court for the civil trials on Thursday and Friday. I have reached out to the court because I am an approved member of the media now. I'm big time. I'm a big time journalist now. The state of Massachusetts now recognizes me. So I could possibly stream those, but I checked on Thursday and Friday, and apparently the deal is Thursday there will be no Zoom hearing. Friday there will be no Zoom hearing. Friday's going to be in person apparently. I guess Thursday must be too, but Thursday they're saying there's no streaming allowed. So we're not going to be able to stream, which is weird because that's the one with all the motions. I thought that would be the one they actually let us stream. But so far on the court's end, they're saying we're not going to be able to stream on Thursday. We won't have any permission. There won't be any cameras there. But on Friday morning, apparently the media will be allowed to stream. So hopefully Friday morning, we're going to try to stream that court hearing. I expect Alan Jackson to be there, is from what Nick Rocco has posted. A lot of fireworks going off with the new filings. Maybe we'll talk about it later in the show. This is going to be kind of a chill show. But I'm revisiting today. We're revisiting and reviewing some new content from American Spy Fox, who came on our show several times. About 2 years ago was the most recent appearance on the channel with American Spy Fox. And he's taken time off and he's come back and taken time off and he's come back again. And he's amazing. I love American Spy Fox. When I'm looking to find out much more about what's going on with Kurt Cobain, especially related to the whole mystery around his death, and anything Courtney Love and Billy Corgan and all that stuff, I only follow one channel. It's only one journalist that's covering that beat that I trust. There's other channels that have come along and blown up big, but he's the only one that is, I feel, trustworthy. And he's also somebody that's given me, as a viewer, and then getting into this world of YouTube specifically, he's given me a lot of inspiration. Like Howie Carr, I say Howie Carr has kind of inspired me. I'd say the same thing about American Spy Fox because he's just a regular guy that has a passion. He's honest and he doesn't even consider himself a journalist so much, but I do. I consider what he does as journalism. He does good journalism. He's good at what he does. And so today, uh, he was just hitting me up too because I was texting him and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do a show tonight on you. I'm gonna review some of your stuff. I'd like to have you back on the show." And he's like, "Let's do it tonight." Like I think he was ready to come on tonight, and I'm like, "I'm not ready for that tonight. I want it to be special when he gets here." So it looks like he's gonna come back on the show. I'm hoping very soon. It looks like. But tonight, I just want to kind of prime the pump for people that aren't familiar with American Spy Fox and what he does and this kind of coverage that we're going to get into tonight. I figured tonight would be a good intro for people that maybe weren't here 2 years ago. Well, I will say about some of the interviews that we did, like the most recent one, especially where we had him on and we had the private detective Tom Grant pop up on the show that night. That one has legs. It didn't really blow up the internet the night that we did the interview, but it just slowly, it's always in my top 10 videos. Like even today, to this week, it's one of my top 10 videos in terms of views and subs and people coming back to it. It has legs. It's an interview that people come back to. They discover it today, just like they did the night that we did it. So it's a evergreen content that people like. It's good quality content. And so we might replay that interview tonight. But what I wanted to get into is my two worlds colliding were covering Epstein files. And I've had a fascination with what happened to Kurt Cobain and with Courtney Love for a number of years. I actually spoke to her dad, her father, on the phone for a couple hours. Hank Harrison. He's an author of a book called Love Kills that I have in my hand right here. It's pretty big. And this book is about Courtney's dad believing that she killed Kurt Cobain. And he's an interesting character. Some people think he's CIA. He was around the Grateful Dead a lot. Um, I talked to him for over 2 hours one day, right before he passed away. I was hoping to get him on the show, but then he passed away. And I talked to the dad for quite a bit. And one of the things that he kept talking about and bringing up is that he felt like Courtney was involved in sex trafficking and that she had been sex trafficked herself, that she had been sex trafficked and then came back and decided to push other women into it. And he talked about the sheiks and the Yakazuna. And what's interesting is American Spy Fox, like he always does, finds the dirt. He's the first one to broach the subject of Courtney Love, as far as I've seen, Courtney Love and Epstein and Prince Andrew. How Prince Andrew showed up at her house one night. What do you think Prince Andrew was hanging around with Courtney Love, showing up at her house? What do you think Prince Andrew was looking for? Why would he want to hang out with Courtney Love? Prince Andrew. Allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. Because she's threatened, let's just be clear, she's threatened to sue American Spy Fox before. I've had my own interactions with Courtney Love back in the day, by the way. Way back when I used to have a blog, I wrote a story about some of the things that Courtney Love was saying online, saying she was saying that these record executives embezzled her and the Illuminati and all this crap. And I pretended, to a degree, to take her seriously, her videos that she was posting at the time. And I wrote a blog up on it. And within 24 hours, Courtney Love was commenting on my friggin' blog. And this is how wild Courtney Love is. She left her phone number on my public blog. It was like, call me. Here's my phone number. I am Courtney Love. Fucking, here's my phone number. Call me. So, of course, I fucking called her. And her butler, one of her boys, one of her little simps, answered the phone. And Courtney wasn't around, so I started asking him questions. And Courtney did not like that. She got very upset at me at that point. I never talked to her on the phone. I had her phone number. I called her once. And again, her butler picked up. I started asking him questions. She didn't like it. She posted about me on her social media. How dare you, Mike? So I've had, and I'm also obviously have some friends in the music business industry. At one point, I interviewed Mary Lou Lord. We didn't talk about Courtney Love, but she was a good friend of Kurt Cobain right before he passed. And Courtney had a real issue with Mary Lou Lord. Mary Lou Lord is beloved in Boston. She's a great artist. So, I didn't like that either. I didn't like that. She was going after Mary Lou Lord. And there's another friend of mine who was in the music industry, signed to a major label. They also had some interactions with Courtney Love. So there's a lot of people that I know in the kind of Boston music industry. They whisper. Everybody whispers about Courtney. A lot of people are afraid to say anything, to come out, even like Mary Lou Lord, who has done some podcast episodes of her own about Courtney Love, her experiences with Courtney Love. But most people are afraid of Courtney for obvious reasons. I'm not. She wants to send me a cease and desist. I'll show it right on the show, just like American Spy Fox has done. She's never sent me one, but I would not be surprised. Allegedly. Everything tonight is allegedly. Allegedly, all right? This is a lot of opinion and speculation tonight, connecting dots. So let's get into it. Do you have any questions at this point? I kind of just threw a lot out. I don't even know who's here right now. Who is here? We got a small little crew. We are living in a simulation. Imagine Courtney Love leaves her phone number on your blog. Like, it's like writing your phone number on a fucking telephone booth. Call me. No, she never interviewed Courtney Love. She interviewed Slash, but not Courtney Love. I don't think I should ask her. I don't think she's had any experiences with Courtney Love. She actually once saw Eddie Vedder at Johnny D's, I believe it was, too. It was funny. Ran into him, and he was nice. I wasn't there. I'm bummed. See, I have no idea if this is this true. Did she actually get married on Epstein Island? Holy shit! I don't know if this is true. I need to look this up. That's interesting if that's true. I have no clue on that one. All right, so you know what I want to do is I just want to get to American Spy Fox. And again, this is like a 15-minute video. He's done a couple of them. What we're going to do first and foremost is we're going to promote the fuck out of American Spy Fox. Let me just make sure we have his. And if you're not following him, follow him. Especially if you like music, you like grunge, you like the history of music, Seattle. This is the guy you want to follow. He's what I call a music journalist on YouTube. And he has no airs. He's not like a trust fund baby. A lot of times you find that these music critics and these music journalists, they're rich kids. A lot of them are rich kids. He's not a rich kid. He's like one of us. He's phenomenal. I love American Spy Fox. He's always what I go back to. Let me make sure I'm pinning him up in the chat right now. And he's a musician too. So he's. I feel like American Spy Fox could be somebody that I hang out with at the Middle East in Cambridge, having a coffee with Joseph over at the Middle East. Like he would be part of that scene. He's a normal, regular, working class, smart kid, a man. And like I said, I haven't watched all of this video. I've watched bits and pieces of it. But I figured I was like, if I'm going to watch these videos of American Spy Fox, I'm going to watch them with my audience so we can talk about it. Because this is the kind of content that I like. It's kind of what I'm interested in. People are asking, what are you going to do now that Karen Reed is basically over? You got Kelsey for the next month. You could be covering Kelsey Fitton. What are you going to do? I'm like, I have plenty of material and topics I want to get into that I've kind of put on the back burner the last couple of years because of Courtney. I mean, because of Karen Reed, excuse me. And this is one of them. I love American Spy Fox, his content. We're going to be talking to him, have him back on the show. We're going to play his video tonight. We're going to talk about it. And we also have, like I said, I would expect that he's going to be back on the show very soon, which I'm really looking forward to. Like I said, he's my dude for Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain coverage. And I just got an email tonight back from the Massachusetts State Auditor, Diana DiZoglio, who is changing the state. She's going to change the state law and allow freedom of information request up at the State House. She's got a ballot initiative. She's got a new campaign to bring public disclosure at our Massachusetts State House. She's coming back on the show this month. We're going to have her back on the show very soon. Massachusetts State Auditor, Diana DiZoglio. We're working over here. I got a lot of guests upcoming. I can't wait to bring all these guests to you. Looking forward to it. So let's get into this tonight. American Spy Fox and what I'm talking about. God damn. Like that. I know we're dealing with a lot of shit around the Karen Reed stuff, but read that little, look at that. That could apply to so many people, right? So many of the villains that we cover on this show. Isn't that funny? If you want to know a man's true character, give him power and immunity. Then sit back and observe. Some people have the power. They don't have the immunity, but they think they do, which is funny. But maybe they have immunity. We don't know. I mean, it's this is a strange world right now. Sometimes there's a hidden immunity. But geez, that quote right there could apply to a lot of people. A lot of people in power. A lot of these Epstein people, right? I think that's what Epstein had. He had the power and he had the immunity until he didn't. What a great quote just to start this video. See what I mean? He is so on point. American Spy Fox. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Hopefully I don't stop it every 5 seconds because he is good. Yeah, you think we're all thinking the same thing, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the American Spy Fox. Welcome
boy.
to the channel. Now, I apologize for my disheveled look today. It's been a long day. As you know, the Department of Justice has been dumping Epstein files like the Soviet Union's Chernobyl dumped radiation all over Eastern Europe, just kind of hoping no one would notice. I have found Courtney Love's name within the Epstein files, and it relates to a video we wrote on the channel years ago. Speculation has become fact. Now, I knew that my viewers and possibly some new viewers would want this information, so I decided to put another video I'm writing using the Epstein files on hold because I am faithful to my audience like a fierce guard dog, and I thought they'd be interested in the Courtney Love video first. Most of us who work for a living, we don't have time to sift through thousands, millions of documents, highlighting names and...
Yeah, I love this. It's so funny too, because this is one of the parts I watch on this video. He says all the same shit that I've been saying. It's funny how we are so similar. We both work. We both have other things that we do besides YouTube, number one. But he's saying the same exact thing I've been saying. Like, who the hell has time to go through these millions of documents? This is what they've dumped this on us to hide it in plain sight.
Connecting dots. And I believe that's exactly what the FBI and the DOJ wants, is to confuse everyone, overwhelm everyone with this massive amount of information that is not categorized. Our government loves bureaucracy. If they wanted to, they could say, here's everything we have on Jeffrey Epstein. Here's everything we have on Clinton. Here's everything we have on Courtney Love. They could organize it and put it out chronologically, but they...
And create a summary. I mean, usually that's what the government does. Usually they come up with a government report and say, oh, these are all the documents, but this is what it means. This is what we found out. This is the summary. This is the conclusions from it. They didn't do any of that.
Chosen to just dump random stuff, hoping that no one will actually sift through all of it and connect all the dots, and will lose interest over time, right? Well, I have the time to sift through it and organize all the information because I work for you. I don't...
I love him. I fucking love him. He works for his audience. He really does. I think he has other gigs too that he does. He's a hard worker. Somebody's just said, never heard of this guy. Looks like he's in California. No, he's not. Unless he moved. He's an Ohio guy. He's from Ohio. That's where Wexner's from. Lex Wexner. I can't even say his name. Les Wexner is from Ohio. So yeah, Charlie is an Ohio guy. And he goes by American Spy Fox. That's his channel. But I may also call him Charlie. It's like Aiden and TB. His real name is Charlie. So I may call him Charlie at times, but American Spy Fox. He's in Ohio. Ohio.
I don't think most independent content creators think about it that way because their ego starts to get in the way and they think there's something special about them. But the truth is, at the end of the day, if my audience isn't watching my content, I don't get paid. At this point in time,
he's hitting so many points that could apply to so many different people, right, people? It's funny, isn't it? Isn't it funny? He is so... So many people got these egos. They got the fucking ego. Especially when they blow up, they get the fucking ego. He's never gotten the ego. I love American Spy
Much
Fox.
more interested in this Dr. Melanie Walker, but I know my audience is more interested in Courtney Love, who I already saw as a trafficker years ago. And by my way of thinking, I should do what my audience wants me to do first. There's one person who's been on our radar for years, and that's Courtney Love. There's a couple other people I do want to talk about in this video. Bill Gates, a doctor associated with Epstein and Bill Gates. However, I'm going to go ahead, cover the Courtney Love stuff, then we'll get to the other stuff. I don't know how other channels, other news sources are doing this. I'm going to do it by person, which, by the way, can't believe that I didn't notice this before. Guess who else is on the flight log list? Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The old peepaw who parades around with 18-year-old girls who just graduated high school. If he'll do that in public, what do you think he's doing in private? I promise you, there is a whole other side to the abuse that was going on that had nothing to do with children. There's a whole other layer of human abuse that was going on in the medical field that we are going to be discussing in the very next video, and that video involves Dr. Melanie Walker and Bill Gates. Without further ado, let's get to the deposition that names Courtney Love as a potential trafficker, and afterward I'm going to play for you a recording of myself speaking with her father about her name being circled in Jeffrey Epstein's black book. So am I right? I'm right. Am I not? That among the others circled are Courtney Love, Donald Trump, and Alan Dershowitz, correct? Only patrons of the channel a few years back would recall a video that I made for Patreon only where I had been in correspondence with Alan Dershowitz on a totally different subject. We're going to be talking more about Alan Dershowitz in the future, and I'll be talking about my correspondence through emails with Dershowitz directly from his law office server. Correct. Among the others, yes. And they are all circled in the same way, are they not? They're talking about why is Courtney Love's circled and others aren't. Yeah, it's kind of a box is what I would say. Same, yes. Is there anything on the face of that document that leads you to conclude that the circling, the significance of the circling, is any different for one person than another? No. So based on the document, do you infer that Courtney Love was involved in some kind of minors? And the person answers, I would infer that if I were running a criminal investigation through the FBI and I'm trying to find people who would have relevant information, she would be one of the people I would want to talk to. I mean, the names that are circled here, Glenn Maxwell, one of the identified traffickers, Epstein.
So there we go. Ghislaine, I don't know. When it says Glenn, I think they're talking about Ghislaine. I think that's a misspelling. I think they're talking about Ghislaine Maxwell. Her name was circled. Epstein is circled. The pilot is circled. So is Courtney Love. Courtney Love her name is circled in the Epstein phone book.
Epstein is circled. The pilot, one of the pilots is circled. So it's these people that all seem to be connected, are all being marked here. And the number of people that are circled is, I would say, 5 to 10% of the names, ballparking in the dark. What this person is saying under deposition is there were very few names circled. About 5 to 10% of the names on the list in Epstein's black book were circled. Courtney Love's one of them. And he's saying that of the names that are circled, which are very few, we have identified key traffickers who were helping Epstein. The possibility that Courtney Love is one of them is raised because of this suspicious circling. Originally, we had talked about this on the channel. I thought that it was weird. And guess what? The FBI thought that it was weird, and other names that were circled, they have now identified as people who were helping Epstein to traffic or providing them, recruiting them, helping it to happen. And yes, I know we talked about this in the past, but we have to couple this with the photograph taken of Courtney with Prince Andrew. The fact that Courtney told a story herself of Prince Andrew showing up to her house and asking her where the parties are at, where the girls are at. Why would Andrew, because he's now been stripped of his royal title, we can just call him Andrew, why would Andrew go directly to her?
She brags about it. I mean, that's the thing. Courtney's been telling on herself about this shit for decades. She's been telling on herself. That's a good question. Why would Prince Andrew seek out Courtney Love? Because she's a madam. She's got the girls. She knows he wanted some action. Allegedly. Allegedly. That's what her dad told me when I talked to him, the guy who wrote this book about her. Her dad. American Spy Fox also talked to the dad. Funny, people used to think the dad was crazy. The more time went on, the more people bought what the dad was saying. At first, he was totally discredited. Over time, right before he died, there was a reason I was calling him. Because even I thought he was, kind of kooky at first. But the more time goes on, the truth gets revealed.
Source of Courtney said that Epstein introduced Courtney to Andrew. See, in everything Courtney Love says, not only is it a projection of guilt, there's also a little bit of truth in everything she says.
Here we go. This is something that came from Courtney Love herself, so I don't believe it. Sheila says her dad does not sound like a good person, threw drugs on her and got custody taken away from him. You need to he told me a lot about that and about the mom and the money. He said he never ever gave Courtney any drugs. He said that was all lies. And you know what? I believe him, actually. I do believe him, even though you never know. You never know. But I don't trust Courtney Love. And it was so clear that she was trying to discredit him because she knew eventually he would write a book like this. This guy's an author. He is an author. That's why she put that story out. She wanted to discredit him so that when he put out a book called Love Kills, that's the name of the book, Love Kills. That's why he said she gave him drugs. So I don't believe that story, actually. I do think that Hank was a character. He's a little first personish. Look up Courtney's mom. Read more about Courtney's mom and who she is. Courtney's mom was basically like a psychologist that put out these self-help books on how to be a good parent, how to raise successful kids. Like, you can't make this shit up. Can you imagine Courtney loves your daughter and your career is putting out books telling parents how to raise their kids? Like, I believe Hank more than I do Courtney and her mom.
Says it's always spun as a lie, but there's a little bit of truth in there. Like when Courtney went on an Apple Music podcast and talked about working in the sex industry in Japan and how girls' passports would end up missing and they'd be stuck. These are things she has talked about.
See there? See, there you go. That's why I trust Hank, the father who died, more than Courtney. Because Courtney tells on herself, and what Hank said gets backed up later by Courtney Love herself. She can't help but talk about this shit. She self-snitches on herself.
She is admitted to working in the sex industry all over the world. In this now infamous photograph of Courtney with Prince Andrew, does it not appear that he is in a hurry to get some information from her and write it down? I mean, is it just me, or does this look like he's just trying to write something down, some kind of knowledge, some question he's about to ask her? Does it not appear that he's holding a notebook, a piece of paper, a pen, something? Furthermore, we know 100% for a fact Courtney Love has been to Epstein Island. Do you guys remember when she threw a public fit after it came out that not only was she in his black book, that her address and phone numbers were circled, she had a public meltdown saying she'd never met him, Dude's a creep. I hope he burns in hell. No clue why he would have my information. Now, here we have the FBI, the Department of Justice files, telling us that not only did she lie to us publicly, they are also investigating her as a key trafficker. I've got to say, for anybody who ever wanted to see Courtney Love go down for what she obviously did to Kurt Cobain, using him, driving him mad, and then abusing his daughter as she grows up, forcing her to divorce her own mother and become emancipated, hoarding everything the guy ever earned from his own family, selling a large portion of his music publication rights that were supposed to go to daughter Frances, then turning around and introducing Kurt's daughter to one of the biggest creeps in the world. I think you have a better chance of taking Courtney Love down by exposing her name in these Epstein files. I have the feeling that we're going to be finding her name much more often, and as we do, I will report it to you.
And let's not forget what she did to Courtney did to her daughter's first husband, that Silver guy. If you don't know about that, you should read the court filings about that lawsuit, where she basically tried to kill him. She basically that's my opinion based on what the legal filings.
Because not many other publications, media publications, for some reason will mess with Courtney Love. People often ask me, what is your hard on over this lady? I'm sorry. She is one of the worst individuals in the world.
He's right. And this is why I love covering this, and this is why I want to stick on this. Is because these publications will not cover it. They won't cover Courtney Love. They are afraid of Courtney Love for some reason. And I think it's about her connections, her military, her spy connections, whatever it is, organized crime. It's all one and the same, really.
To ever be praised for being a terrible individual. Like, she's just a bad human being. Anyone she has ever interacted with will tell you the same, including her own family. People used to come down on her father, Hank Harrison, for talking bad about his daughter, but look at her daughter. Her daughter wants her nowhere near her new husband and grandson. That should tell you something. People who are terrible.
I mean, I would feel that way after she tried to kill the last boyfriend, the last husband, right? I mean, yeah, yeah. He was given the guitar. He was given the Kurt Cobain guitar, and Courtney wanted it back, and he wouldn't give it back. So she sent some goons to his house and basically tried to kidnap the guy. And he got saved by one of his friends. I wouldn't let Courtney around my new husband if she did that to my last husband.
Human beings should not be celebrated for being terrible human beings. Every time I find this woman's name in the Epstein files, I'm going to turn right around and report it to you. And we're going to find out that Courtney is nowhere near as innocent as she would like for us to believe. This isn't speculation. We now know she lied. So, why? Why would she lie? She could have said, oh, well, like everybody partied with that dude. He threw big parties and I got invited and I thought it'd be cool to go to a private island. Nothing weird happened when I was there. She could have said that. So why was she lying? Why did she want us to believe she'd never met this guy when she had indeed been to his house? Courtney Love has a ton of questions to answer. Could it be why she suddenly is paying for yet another Courtney Love documentary? Does she want to try to get people to not pay attention to what's in the Epstein files and just paint herself in a great light in a new and upcoming documentary? Doesn't it seem like odd timing and an expensive one at that? An expensive endeavor? I mean, if you want a real made professional documentary, That's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cameras alone would cost thousands. This is something that Courtney Love fans and supporters really need to think about. Maybe you should reconsider who you admire and why. Back in the day, I recorded a phone conversation with her father, Hank Harrison. He's now deceased. Rest in peace, Hank. This is what he had to say when I asked him about Courtney being in Epstein's black book. I want to know what the hell is going on with this Epstein thing.
Oh, I know about that.
Somebody just messaged me and said that Courtney was on Twitter. Apparently, she was in Epstein's black book or something.
She was.
So, to no fault of her own?
Well, no, on purpose, no doubt.
I mean, do you think she met him, or do you think he's just a creep who had her information?
Oh, no, man. Oh. Boy, you really don't know Courtney, do you?
I'm just getting caught up on this subject.
All right. Courtney's a hustler. If her face is on something or her body imprint or her signature or her name appears in a list, she did it on purpose. It's there. She doesn't do anything by accident.
As of right now, this is all I have concerning Courtney Love, but my partner and I will be sifting through these files, and every time we find Courtney Love's name, we will report back to you. I've got another video that I've been working on for years that's coming up next. I wanted it to come out today, shifted gears to talk about Courtney. That's a video I've been writing for years. Alan Dershowitz, Bill Gates, Epstein, Dr. Melanie Walker. These are all people we'll be talking about in the next video. A lot of my audience doesn't even know that I corresponded with Alan Dershowitz years ago.
No idea. I had no idea. See what I mean? He's a dog with a bone, man. He's really good at this. I'm kicking myself that I didn't record Hank Harrison when I was on the phone. I didn't know how to do that back then. He freaking got the recording. That was Courtney's dad calling Courtney a hustler. He told me that he felt like she was involved in all kinds of illicit activities. That's what Hank Harrison told me. His deathbed confession to me about his daughter, Courtney Love. And he explains in the book and to me on the phone, like how she got fucked up.
It was a video that I made only for patrons. So only a few hundred people ever watched that video on Dershowitz. And you don't even have to ask. Whenever Anthony Kiedis' name comes up, we're going to be reporting on it. Aside from the Cobain documentary coming up in February, there are going to be several videos on the Epstein files all month. If you have not subscribe, turn on your notifications. You're not going to want to miss these videos. They're very interesting, the things we're finding. As well, I'm going to be appearing on a podcast around Kurt's birthday next month. I guess you could say sort of a promotion for the documentary.
I don't think he was talking about my show, but I think we're going to be the show that he appears on. I think that interview might have fallen through that he was hyping. But I can't wait to have American Spy Fox back on our platform. He's amazing. Make sure you subscribe. We got it pinned in the YouTube chat right now. Get him some new subs tonight. Please subscribe to him.
Other than that, leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this new information. Were you a Courtney Love fan who's now second guessing who you admire? Let me know in the comments. And please don't forget to support the channel. We have a brand new merch shop, Fourth Wall. There are plenty of Courtney Did It shirts in there. Go grab you one and support our channel. Bye-bye.
It's amazing. This is getting wild, folks. She's in the fucking Epstein files. Can't make this shit up. I think he's got another video too. I'm going to check this one out. Hold on one moment. Again, American Spy Fox on YouTube. Make sure you hit all notifications. All notifications. And he's got a bunch of he said he's hyping that other documentary. He's got other documentaries up there. He's got a lot of good long content. He's got a lot of content about Billy Corgan too. And he's just been interviewing one of Kurt Cobain's uncles. He's had several interviews with him. He's got a brand new interview that he just put out 2 days ago with Kurt Cobain's uncle. You definitely want to check out that one. Um, we're gonna play also his video from when Prince Andrew got arrested because that's also Epstein files. It's a quick video. I'm gonna play some of the video from when he was on our show as well. One of the names that just made a lot of news this week was Billy Corgan. And I don't know if a lot of average people realize, but Billy Corgan was Courtney Love's boyfriend from the Smashing Pumpkins before Kurt Cobain. And it seems like she might have been cheating on Kurt Cobain with Billy Corgan, and that she originally dumped Billy Corgan for Kurt Cobain. Billy Corgan just made some wild statements about how he felt like MTV stopped playing rock music in 1997 because of the CIA. I think it's hilarious because number one, I don't believe that. I think what he's saying is a bunch of bunk, number one, because a lot of bands did break after 1997 on MTV, like, bands like Stained and Disturbed and Godsmack and Linkin Park, all those bands came after 1997. They were all on MTV. And it's funny because I look at Billy Corgan. If anybody, this should be the poll question today. What's more likely? Did MTV stop playing rock music in 1997 because of the CIA? Or is Billy Corgan part of the CIA? Because that's what I feel like. I feel like it's more likely that Billy Corgan is part of the CIA. He's working with the CIA. Then MTV stopped playing music in the 1997 rock music because of the CIA. It's funny because Billy Corgan, I don't know if people realize, his father was heavily mobbed up, drug trafficker. He talks about it. Billy Corgan is a very kind of shady character, and he's been friends with Courtney Love for a long time. So yeah, and he might be brothers with Bill Burr. I mean, the shit is wild. There's so many rabbit holes. That's what's so great about American Spy Fox. He goes down a lot of these rabbit holes. There's so much shit around Courtney Love and Billy Corgan and this crew of people. Yeah, I know, right? I'm freaking you out tonight. And people say there's no content to cover. What are you going to cover now? There's all kinds of shit to cover here. Yeah, he's a rat in a cage, Billy Corgan. You don't know who that is, Billy Corgan? You ever hear of the with Smashing Pumpkins? You don't know them? You have to know. Don't tell me. Maybe you're a kid. You know the Smashing Pumpkins. Come on. Well, that's the thing. I asked American Spy Fox. I said, can you do some content on Pearl Jam? The problem with Pearl Jam is they're boring. They're not in the Epstein files. You're going to find Eddie Vedder hanging out with any of these shady people. Remember when I had Bettero, one of the last Bettero shows, he was starting to get into some of this. He's representing some kind of victim. I still haven't heard much about it. Related, I think, to the Epstein crew, if not a separate network that's similar. And he was talking about how there's famous musicians that he won't play the music of anymore. I think he was talking about U2, actually. I think he was talking about Bono. I don't know that for a fact. But I asked Bettero that night, please tell me it's not Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder. And he's like, nope, it's not them. It's not them. That's the thing. Eddie Vedder, you're never going to find any dirt on. There's nothing. There's nothing. No dirt on him. That's why you don't really find much coverage on American Spy Fox of Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder, because there's nothing to hate on. What do? They raise money for charity. They put out music. Yeah. Bettero has hinted it's U2. It's funny because Eddie is friends with U2. He's performed with them. Yeah, Bettero was hinting it was U2. All right, so this is another video that American Spy Fox put out. I want to just review this one. It's about 14 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am the American Spy Fox, and they say the early bird gets the worm. Well, the UK has done something unprecedented. They arrested one of their own. Prince Andrew has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct while in a royal office, or should I say, the prince formerly known as Prince Andrew. Personally, I think Prince the artist is more of a prince than he ever was. We're about to check out an NBC article that's going to tell us all about it. But first, let me say,
see why I love him? He's a fucking. I think Prince is much more royal than Prince Andrew. Prince was friggin' awesome. I love Prince.
I think the UK, in a way, is calling out the United States, saying we're not messing around. Even if it's one of our own, we're taking them out. If they're a creep, they're gone. What's up with you, United States? Now, we know our media is a joke. There's often tons of misinformation in our media. They don't even bother to research or find the correct facts. One of the reasons Kurt Cobain said, don't believe what you read. This is the photograph that started it all. Prince Andrew's slow decline and then sudden drop. NBC News, former Prince Andrew arrested following Epstein files revelations. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. My God, that sounds like a PDF file's name, doesn't it though? Was arrested on his 66th birthday on suspicion of misconduct in public office, with police searching properties in 2 regions that include his former Windsor home and his current home of the Royal Sandringham Estate. Now, I don't want to upset my UK friends, my UK subscribers, but you guys are aware that this was not the original royal family, right? And there's absolutely nothing royal about them. They are usurpers. But anyway, he's arrested in connection with the Epstein case, and they're not playing around. They arrested the former Prince Andrew on his birthday. Well, a happy birthday to you, Andrew. Just this morning, after weeks of revelations over his friendship and dealings with offender Jeffrey Epstein. The development, unprecedented in the modern era, follows years of scrutiny over Andrew's relationship with Epstein, heightened in recent weeks by the release of millions of Justice Department files. I myself have found some pretty disturbing images and emails dealing with the prince formerly known as Prince Andrew. I have to say, he must be the black sheep of the family, because look at what they did to Princess Diana. Her death, they swept it right under the carpet. Kind of strange how all of a sudden we're just like starting to figure out that all these people who we thought just died under weird circumstances may have actually been targeted. This comes after a remarkable fall from grace for the brother of King Charles III, now known only as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and will deal another blow to Britain's already beleaguered royal family. Mountbatten Windsor, I'm sorry if I'm I don't honestly care. I'm not really caring whether I pronounce a PDF file's name correctly or not, but for my UK subscribers, bear with me. He was stripped.
I'm going to stop it right there. I had a quick comment I want to address right here. It says, Mike, could you please live stream Salem court case for us regarding Lucy Medina? This case needs more attention. Did I mention Hanky Brennan is involved in doing a good job? Possibly. Is there any live streaming going on? I would ask you this question. Is NBC Boston or anybody else, do they have video cameras there? Because if they do, there's a way for me to stream that. I could. But the resources aspect is tough for me to be able to get over there and get my own camera in there. I do have a dog business, so it's hard for me to do that type of thing. I'm just one person. So my question to you would be, is it happening right now? Like, I don't know anything about it. I send me some info, mjcboston1@yahoo.com. You can also find my email at the top of the profile on our Twitter, at the Young Jerks on Twitter. So if you don't have that email, you don't write it down, you can always find it on Twitter. Send me any tips over there. Can't guarantee I'll cover it, but you never know. All right, let's get back to the content.
stripped of his royal titles last year, has always denied any wrongdoing in connection to his affiliation with Epstein, even though we've seen him in several photos besides girls he should have never been around. Thames Valley Police said in a statement early Thursday it arrested a man in his 60s on suspicion of misconduct in public office, which carries, a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. They don't play around in the UK. Look, I'm just going to go ahead and call this right now. He's probably going to get Epsteined because a pampered baby like that, a childlike pampered prince who's never worked a hard day's work in his life, 1 minute in a penitentiary, especially being the kind of criminal he is, he's going to start singing like a bird, dude. And they know that. This guy can't handle captivity. He's been pampered his whole life.
Oh, another one if I were her, I'd have extra security is that ex-wife of his, Fergie. If I were her, I'd be hiding because I think that she's actually the one that they're going to target too. If anything suspicious happens to her, if I were her, I would be making sure you trust everyone you're around. Keep a low profile, get some extra security, Fergie, and make sure you have all your documentation, anything that you have on these people backed up and to several different people. So if something happens to you, it gets released.
He's going to sing like a bird. As crazy as this sounds, and I want to be clear that I'm not taking up for her at all. She's gross, but I think Ghislaine Maxwell has taken it more like a man than any of them. She's more man than Prince Andrew. Of course, there's a lot going on behind the scenes there that
He's a gangster. She was one of the leaders of it. I think she's much more of a leader in this than people think. She wasn't just his girlfriend that got conned into this. Her father was the head of the operation before Epstein. You know, this operation's been around for a long time. Let's just put it that way. Her father, I believe, who was also died under mysterious circumstances, was a TV guy. It was also a spy. He ended up dying in mysterious circumstances, Robert Maxwell. I think that she is more of a gangster than all these other dudes. That's why. He's right. This is a very good point. She is more gangster. Ghislaine Maxwell is more gangster than all these men.
We don't know about, but Maxwell took her prison sentence like a champ. I'm not telling you nothing. Go ahead and put me in prison. If that indeed is her still in prison. I know there's been some controversy over that. And they let her live, which tells you that they know she's not going to talk. We should just start taking bets right now. Dude's going to end up Epsteined. He knows too much about too many people. He's done. Let's look a little deeper. I want to see if we can find some more details. The police force, which covers an area in southern England where Windsor used to live, did not name him, as is standard practice under British law. Asked whether Windsor had been arrested, the police responded with the statement, "We understand the significant public interest in this case, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time." Assistant Chief Constable Oliver Wright. Following a thorough assessment, we have now opened an investigation into this allegation of misconduct in public office. I'm sorry. Hold up a second. The nuttiest thing about this is the files were an investigation. The FBI, the Department of Justice, they've known this for years and years and years. They've already investigated, and now they're dumping all this random images and emails on us like they didn't know this shit years ago. A decade ago, 2 decades ago. Come on, you're just now opening up an investigation? Looks to me like you already finished the investigation a long time ago. Police said they were searching 2 addresses, one in Berkshire and Norfolk. Andrew lived in Windsor's Royal Lodge in Berkshire until earlier this month. His new home on the Sandringham estate, a royal residence, is in Norfolk. So he got stripped of his royal title, but he still got all the amenities and perks of being royal. And again, I think he has to be the black sheep. He has to be like the redheaded stepchild of the family because they're throwing him out on Front Street. He's under the bus already. Look what they did with Princess Diana. They swept her death under the rug. What I'm getting at, I'm not accusing anyone. I'm just saying they protected Prince Charles and his image throughout that whole Princess Diana thing. With Andrew, it's like, take him. We don't want them. Earlier, news photographers captured what appeared to be unmarked police cars arriving at Andrew's home in Sandringham. Norfolk Police said in a statement that it was supporting a Thames Valley police investigation into misconduct in a public office. And they apparently take this very seriously in the UK. If you are doing shady things while in public office, it carries a life sentence. Meanwhile, in the United States of America, public servants who are only supposed to make a couple $100,000 a year become multimillionaires, insider trading, and they just pretend like it never happened.
Totally. Did you see Kristi Noem this week before Congress about the airplanes and the sweet deals? Crazy stuff going on. You know, it seems like actually some in Congress are starting to take a stand. Today, they voted. They're going to put under deposition. They're going to put Pam Bondi under the Attorney General of the United States is going to be deposed on Jeffrey Epstein. Republicans are breaking ranks. So finally, we're seeing American. Seems like they're taking a little bit of action. Thank God. I love how he says American Spy Fox. That's what he is. He can do it. This guy, American Charlie, gets it done. He's so good. I love Charlie. I'm such a big fan. It's so awesome too that for so long I was just watching him. For years, watching him. And then I started doing YouTube more seriously. I came back and I had him on my show. And we just vibed. I just felt like we are very similar, working class guys that have an interest in this stuff. We love music. And we were talking about record stores and how we grew up. And I'm just looking forward to having him back on the show. It's been a couple of years. I threw everything down for Karen Reed, and I kind of ignored some of the other subject matters and some of the other guests that I'd like to have on the show. And that's what's refreshing now. Now that Karen Reed is freed, I get to dive into some of the stuff that I haven't covered over the last couple of years, and this is one of them. American Spy Fox. Make sure you follow. Make sure you subscribe tonight. It's pinned in the chat. I'm looking forward to having him back on the show.
And nothing happens to them. I'm sorry, but people who vote on laws that directly affect the stock market should not be allowed to buy, sell, trade stock. Earlier this month, Thames Valley Police said it was looking into a claim that the former prince had shared confidential documents. So here we go. He had shared confidential documents with Epstein while serving his UK trade on.
We got a troll here. I want to know, do you like the content? Because I like the content. For me, 45 viewers is great because we started off at 25. Like, we're moving up. Like, we've doubled the number since we went live. So that's good. And this is different content. Anytime you come with something new in the algorithm, it takes a while for people to catch up. And the thing is, Sean, the last time I had American Spy Fox on my show, there was about 100 people maybe. I don't know. And you know what? It's in my top 10 videos today, 2 years later. People are still watching the content. You know what that means, Sean? They like the content. It has legs. I had Turtle Boy on. We had thousands of people. No one's watching those interviews today, Sean. So when you think you know about numbers, you're not really, you're not a YouTuber. You don't see the analytics. You don't actually know what's going on. You're just focusing on one little metric that makes you kind of a moron. You're kind of a dumbass. You're kind of a freaking cult member. You kind of just, people say stuff and you repeat it. My numbers are going up, bro. I'm glad you're talking about numbers because did you see my subs went up again? Did you see what happened, bro? Do you know where I'm going to be in 6 months to a year, Sean? I'm going to be rubbing it in your fucking face, and I can't fucking wait. Like I said, my guest list, the journalists that I get on the show, we fucking sell books. That's why we get Howie Carr on the show. That's why we have Michelle McPhee on the show. That's why we have American Spy Fox coming back on the show. That's why we have Diana DiZoglio, the Massachusetts State Auditor, on the show. You got people that have 10,000 people in their live shows. They can't get those guests. Why do you think, Sean? Why do you think people with way more viewers can't get the state auditor on their show? Why do you think? Because credibility matters, clown boy. credibility matters, Shawnee Sean. And you have none. You have none. But keep watching everything we do. I love it. Thank you for supporting us.
Boy. Everybody's always speculated, how did Epstein make his money? For some strange reason, he always seemed to know someone who could give him insider trading information, right? Epstein wasn't some kind of genius. He wasn't some Superman economist. He had insider information. He knew what would make him money and make him no money. The game was rigged, as it's always been. I provide a service for you that no one else in the world can provide for you. PDF file stuff. You give me information for me to invest money in the right places. And now, of course, the Bitcoin thing, which I found, that was like the first thing I found in the Epstein files, was the Dr. Melanie Walker, which I have a video coming up on her and Bill Gates that you're going to watch. You think you know everything about Bill Gates and Melanie Walker. Nobody's really talking about the full story there. I'm going to give you a full 20-30 minute video on this. They're evil. Like, Bill Gates should be charged with crimes against humanity. He should be serving a life sentence. We're talking about human experimentation. It's nuts. And it's real. That's the crazy part, is it's not fake. Dr. Melanie Walker was involved in that. But anyway, she was telling people after Bitcoin became a thing, and then there was a point where Bitcoin was kind of going to crash, Epstein invested $850,000 into a failing business venture. Now, why would he do that? What I'm telling you is Epstein saved Bitcoin. Why would he want to save it? Nobody's ever knew who the mystery man was, the person who owns the most Bitcoin. If they
Satoshi. Yeah, Satoshi. No one knows who Satoshi is. But isn't it interesting that Epstein was one of the main backers of Bitcoin? And this group of people, a lot of them centered around MIT and Cambridge, Massachusetts, by the way, right where I used to live. I used to live a block from where Epstein used to do all his scientific investing over at the MIT Media Labs. And it's crazy. It's crazy, the stuff. And Epstein, why do you think I think he was backing it? Because, Bitcoin is where criminals, especially gangs, go to launder their money and move their money around. It's a good way to pay people, whether it's for women, children, illegal guns, illegal drugs, illicit activities. This is Bitcoin was created for gangsters, right? That's why I think Epstein was involved in Bitcoin.
sold, it would all come crashing down.
If you knew who was really behind Bitcoin, you would run as fast as you could to sell it.
People think it's Epstein. This is something I was speculating a while back after.
And again, American Spy Fox, right. It's funny, too, because all this Epstein started coming out, all this shit about Epstein and Bitcoin. Guess what happened to Bitcoin? Bitcoin started crashing. And I saw a lot of people saying, I don't want to invest in the pedo coin. They call it the P coin now. People are waking up. Even me, I dumped a lot of my Bitcoin. I dumped almost all the Bitcoin I had.
I watched a Netflix documentary on Bitcoin and discovered that the original guy who owns the most Bitcoin was a mystery man. And like my head immediately went to Epstein had all this money, but no one knows where it came from, right? But then I was like, nah, that's crazy. And then I find an email in the Epstein files about him investing all this money to save Bitcoin, which was a very risky venture. He could have lost all of his money. Why does he care so much about saving Bitcoin? That's a whole other story. Sorry, I rant sometimes. Let's get back to the original topic. One email among the latest U.S. release appears to show Windsor forwarding Epstein a report from his special advisor about then Prince's visit to Southeast Asia. Windsor has not commented on the latest batch of files published by the DOJ. So it was just last year he was stripped of his royal titles. Look at this. It is extremely rare for a senior member of the royal family or someone who used to hold such status be arrested. Not back in the day. Look at what the French did. They didn't let their royal families play around. If you're screwing us over and we're starving, you gotta go. They stormed the Bastille and everything, man. In 2002, Princess Anne, the sister of the king and Windsor, was convicted under the Dangerous Dolls Dogs Act after her English Bull Terrier, Dottie, bit 2 children while walking in Windsor Park. I'm sorry, where I'm from, we shoot dogs that bite children. And that goes for people too. So I'm going to back up for a second. One email among the latest release appears to show Windsor forwarding Epstein a report from his special advisor. What that means is he has the office, he holds the title, he gets the prestige, but someone else, his special advisor, is doing the work, right? Because he's a numbskull. Like, nobody in power really does any of the work. So Princess Anne's dog bit somebody, a dog named Dottie. British media, at the time, it was the first instance of a royal being convicted of a criminal offense, but she was not arrested, of course not. Who the hell takes a angry bull terrier to a park where children walk? I don't know. Maybe they were taking it there to see if any children would like to pet it. I can't think of anything like this in modern times. The royal historian and author Sarah Gristwood told NBC News, "It is the first age in which someone who was very recently a senior royal could be treated like any other common criminal." That shows how fucking arrogant these people are. They're being treated like any other common criminal. He's the worst criminal. He's a coward who preys on children. That's not a common criminal. That's the lowest of the low. That's as low as a person can get. Plenty of senior figures were imprisoned in the times of royal families such as the Tudors and the Stuarts, who ruled between the 15th and 18th centuries, but only on political grounds, Gristwood said. Looks like the UK is going back to their roots. They're going to start holding these people accountable, treating them like any common criminal, and no one gives a crap whether he spends every last day in prison or whether he gets Epsteined or whatever happens. We don't care. We're sick of these people. We want to get rid of them. I hope that this is a wake-up call for the United States to say, hey, we cannot let our government sweep all this crap under the rug and just say, we're not going to prosecute anybody. We need to force them. We need to continue raising Cain about this until people are held accountable, and we want to make sure that it doesn't happen in the future. Then we should take their billion-dollar fortunes and send everybody a nice fat check, because it's all come out of our pocket anyway. We've been getting ripped off. Again, my latest fully researched written video is coming out on Dr. Melanie Walker, Bill Gates, and Epstein. Something I want to tell you about Epstein. Anybody know that he had a Baghdad address in the 80s? I mean, I know we talked about this a long time ago on the channel, but my God, man, my God. And those Middle Eastern dudes are into some really weird stuff, like the torture videos. And it just, however bad you think it is, if you have not dived into the files yourself, however bad you think it is, I promise you it's way worse. Sometimes it's hard to even read or look at. And these people enjoyed it. Why do we think of them as the upper class? Why do we think of them as the elite? Seems to me that they're close to animals. They're no more than feral dogs. There's nothing I hate more than an injustice. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. I'm going to see you very soon.
Will inherit the earth. Remember that from the Bible? Remember that? What's up is down. The world is upside down. American Spy Fox Charlie. He's elite. He is elite. I love him. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you sub up American Spy Fox. Phenomenal reporting. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to play. This is what's so good about American Spy Fox. When I had him on the show, I had him on a couple times, but the last time he came on, now this guy is the opposite of a lot of these fucking gatekeepers you find out there. He comes on my show and he gives me his biggest friggin' guess, basically, which at the time was this private detective, Tom Grant, that put out a movie, Soaked in Bleach. Some of you might have seen the movie about Courtney Love called Soaked in Bleach. It was from the private detective Tom Grant, who Courtney Love hired when Kurt Cobain originally went missing. American Spy Fox not only says, yeah, I'll come on your show, I'm gonna bring Tom Grant. So this is the interview that people keep watching. It's been over 2 years. Every single day when I go to my top 10 videos, my top 10 lives, all those Betero shows that people rave about, American Spy Fox with Tom Grant, always in my top 10. This is what people are still watching 2 years later, people are still watching this interview. So this is why I wanted to bring it up tonight. And it's funny because I got a lot of calls after this show. So people think one of the calls that we took was from Darcy from the Smashing Pumpkins. I actually called that caller later on. She said she wasn't Darcy from Smashing Pumpkins. I don't believe it was, but you never know. Like we got some interesting calls that night. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to replay the last time American Spy Fox came on my show with Tom Grant. And we got to play a lot of the videos, his work. And again, this guy is a great journalist. He doesn't even call himself a journalist, but I call him a journalist. He's phenomenal. Yeah, I want to know how many people were here for that night when Tom Grant and American Spy Fox came on the show. It was over 2 years ago. Yeah, you were there. You saw it. You saw it. Yeah, we're gonna watch me watch myself. This is the part that I have to duck out on. I'm gonna listen to. I will pop in every once in a while, but I get, especially about the old shows where the background was weird. What you're gonna see is there's not gonna be any of the blue lights behind me. This is when we were really low budget back then. We're still low budget. We're still not a fancy show over here. Sarah, one of our longest serving mods, she is our longest serving mod at this point, active mod. She wasn't even on YouTube then. This is funny. So you're going to get to watch my show from a couple of years ago here. And like I said, I will duck out for a little bit. This is going to run a couple hours. I want to try to eat some dinner in between. You may see me eating some dinner here. I'm going to pop in and out, but I'm just going to let this play. I just want us to get geared up because I am looking forward to having American Spy Fox back on the show. And this is just kind of priming the pump for all my long gamers, all the people who want to be ready for when American Spy Fox comes back on the show.
In LA, and he stayed behind. He goes down like 2 weeks later, and then he checks himself into the rehab. But before he goes, he buys.
Did I start it from the beginning here? Let me make sure. Yeah, let's.
Courtney is already down in LA, and he stayed behind. He goes down like 2 weeks later, and then he checks himself into the rehab. But before he goes, he buys this gun with his good friend and her, another one she's got wrapped around her finger. But when Gant overhears that other friend talking with Courtney and hears the conversation, like, I want you to go get the shotgun. Like, how would she know it's there? She's been gone for 2 weeks. How does she know there's a shotgun hidden in the next room? And he bought that, and he bought a smaller gauge because there had been burglars, supposedly, but the smaller gauge, in case he shot it in the house, he didn't want buckshot would go through all the walls.
Yeah.
If he had birdshot, it would be more contained into one room. And so actually I learned from that, and that's how I load my shotgun. First one's birdshot, and then we get serious after that. And
exactly. That's how a lot
how does she know?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, how does she know there was a shotgun in the house?
Exactly. That was my big point. I love it that you pointed that out. What is she doing? Talking to Kurt's friend behind his back or something? Like the only person who could have told her was the guy that was with him, and he claims that he had no contact with her. So how does she know that there's even a shotgun there?
Exactly. You know, when I was a detective, you would get that gut feeling that, like, I'm onto something here. And the red flags would come up, and it's like, I got to run down this lead and this lead and this lead. And those weren't run down. Those weren't explored because there was no detective doing follow-up on it. The original investigation was done by very competent officers, but everybody went in there with the thing that it's suicide. Well,
it's not the officer's job to follow leads. It would be a detective's job if they were investigating it as a homicide. Okay, I understand.
Right. I as a captain, I even went to the cold case detective and suggested some of the stuff I'm telling you. And I'm no longer the homicide. I had been the homicide commander somewhere in there, but I went back to him as an outside captain and said, might want to look at this. And he's, oh, no, it's over. It's done.
Welcome to the Young Jerks. We've got a great show tonight. Got two awesome special guests. I'm really excited about tonight. My name is Mike Crawford. This is the Young Jerks. Make sure you follow, subscribe to us. We just played video from American Spy Fox. It's a brand new latest video from him with a retired Seattle police captain, Neil Lowe, talking about the Kurt Cobain case, which is going to be coming up on 30 years. Two people, when I think about Kurt Cobain and the case, it goes way back to Tom Grant, the private detective, and this other guy who's a friend of the show, who's been on the show in the past, Charlie, American Spy Fox. I'm just going to bring them both up right now. Welcome back to the show, Charlie, American Spy Fox. And let's bring up Detective Private Investigator Tom Grant. Welcome, guys.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Charles. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
I'm excited. This is thank you, Charlie, for putting this all together and for your dedication to this story and what you've been doing. It's amazing that we can play this tonight and talk about this.
Absolutely.
Well, tell us about, like, where do you want to kick off? Both of you, I guess. I mean, do we want to talk about, I think that's it, Captain Neil Lowe, right?
Well, I think a lot of people have heard from me quite frequently. Maybe perhaps Tom should start this off.
Yeah, that's fine. First of all, I want everybody to understand there's no glitch on the screen or anything. I'm microphone only. I'm not video, so you're just going to hear my voice and not be able to see my ugly face.
Oh, we'll put your face up too, though.
Oh, I don't like that picture.
We got it up on the screen right now.
That's like 8 or 9 years old. But I just, anyhow, whatever. I like the illustration of Charles. That was great.
Can you see the gray hairs coming out my sides, man? This Cobain case has literally given me gray hair.
Your hair is turning red, not gray.
On the sides, on the temples, I'm getting some grays coming in.
Oh, well. Well, I want to sort of just give a real brief explanation about how investigations go and why this thing makes so many twists and turns and changes over a period of time. Investigations usually take twists and turns. And you begin by focusing and running down your best lead first and then your next. And that can result in a change of approach and strategy and tactics and methods of approach that are adjusted, along the way. Some items of potential evidence that seemed important at one time get discarded and replaced by newer, better evidence until you eventually find the right resolution to the case. So directions that we were going and things that we were looking at really heavy at one point are typical to any investigation, especially a homicide investigation. This happens, and things that seemed important at one time are replaced by things that are more important. And that's going to continue to happen until we get to the end of this. And Charlie has begun something here that is going to lead us down that road. And I think it's going to be resolved in time. We're going to take it slow and easy, and I'm looking at weeks or months. But this was just an amazing interview. When you really listen closely to this man, and he was a captain. I don't know how many people really understand the rank of captain on a police department. It's an upper echelon of people that are up there. They call it the brass, the higher up, the high people on the totem pole, I guess you'd say, when in management. And those people don't get all the information that the patrol officers get, that the detectives get, and that doesn't always reach them So we haven't heard about Captain Lowe for all these years because, for one thing, he didn't really, until he watched the film, he didn't have that much interest in this, and he figured it was resolved. He trusted the detectives, even though he said he had red flags, and he discussed those red flags with them years and years ago. He's been there for 50 years on the Seattle Police Department. And you can tell by watching him in his interview with Charles how authentic he is and how ethical he is. And I spoke with him for an hour and a half the other day, and he's just the most down-to-earth, truthful human being I've ever met in a long time. And especially coming from the Seattle Police Department. And he is very honest about all the background stuff there that's gone on over the years. So that will be discussed at another time. But I would just like to focus on Charlie's interview with him and kind of go down the list of things that were brought up, not necessarily in order, because I may have gotten them out of order. But
I'd like to ask you a question about the whole thing too, Tom. Like, did you ever expect that you would see something like this from a former captain of the Seattle Police Department, that, you know, somebody like Charlie would find him and get him on YouTube? And did you ever expect something like this would happen?
I always hoped it would happen, because I figured, you know, there were, especially after all these many years, 30 years, there were probably brand new people on the Seattle Police Department who joined, and they were heavy Cobain fans at that time, and then grew through the ranks over time. And eventually, after retiring, they were willing to talk about it. Maybe I would have gotten a phone call, or maybe Charlie would have gotten a phone call. And so I thought that was a good possibility. But I'll tell you, Charlie sent me a screenshot of a message between him and Captain Lowe the other day. And it said, "Sure, I'd love to talk to Tom." Now that just swept me off my feet. And I thought there would never be a day in my life that I would ever hear something like that from somebody
the Seattle Police Department.
on the Seattle Police Department, much less a 50-year veteran at the rank of captain with an impeccable background and with the impeccable credentials. You know, I mean, this guy cannot be critiqued by anybody with any intelligence and put down or made fun of or criticized or whatever. If he gets any criticism over this stuff, it's going to be from people that just aren't thinking things through and don't want to think things through. I'll occasionally have to grab some water here, because I'm an old man and I'm on a medication that dries my mouth. So if I have to pause.
Yeah, that's what I grabbed. But before we started, I had to grab a cup and put some fluids in it. When you talk a lot, you gotta, you know, wet your whistle, as they say.
Right. So
one thing I wanted to add, can I add something? Just
absolutely.
Of course, I don't want to put any words in Captain Lowe's mouth, but just a little bit I've talked to him and got to know him. He's an officer that does not like bad detectives. He doesn't like, I mean, he worked in internal affairs. Okay. If for anybody who doesn't know, that would be, internal affairs would be the guy that, you know, who will judge the judges, right? Well, Captain Lowe, like, he makes sure that the officers are doing their job correctly. And I get the feeling from him that he does not like detectives who cut corners.
I wanted to bring up that same point, but you said it so much better than I would have ended up saying it. So that, I appreciate that, Charles. That was great. Okay. You want me to continue on with
your list? Let's go through what you have on this.
We can probably do this audio real quick on this next point. He brought up Callie's note. He called it the note in the house or on the stairs. And he says, it's his house. Why wouldn't he have a right to be in his house? So
right.
I mean, I'd like to play this recording that I did with Sergeant Kirkland. I'm sorry, Detective Kirkland. He wasn't a sergeant at the time, but he was working with Cameron on the case. And I had been told by my document examiners when I sent them a copy of that note that was on the stairs from Callie, I had been told by them when they reached their final conclusion that it was written by a woman with a strong personality. It went on, basically describing Courtney, but not saying her name. And of course, when I talked to them on the phone, they outright said, yeah, they think Courtney wrote that note that was on the stairs. I questioned that in my mind at first because that wasn't logical. I mean, Callie was up here. Why, if she wanted the note put there, why wouldn't she just call Callie, tell him what to write, and have him put it on the stairs? Why would she fly up there in the middle of the night to do that? And I eventually got Callie into my office, and I put the same size paper on the desk, and I gave him a black felt tip pen. And I said, can you write, to the best of your memory, what you wrote on that note on the stairs? And he sat there and he kind of wrote it out, and it was like 70% accurate, which would be normal for doing something off your own memory. But I could see as he was doing it and watching him, and as it was coming out, he wrote that letter on the stairs. Nobody else did. And that's also the most logical thing. I had no doubt that he wrote it actually from the beginning, but I did have questions as to why he wrote it and what it was all about. Rosemary Carroll, when I talked to her about it, she agreed with me. She believed it was written for me to find. And listen to this interview with Detective Kirkland. I also want you to know this is about two things. First of all, it's about the attitude from the detectives at that time, the bad attitude, and the sloppy job they were doing. And it's also about my education about the qualifications of handwriting experts and how accurate they actually are. So where did I,
Hey, Tom, before you play that, can I ask you, so you do think that Callie wrote it, but Courtney dictated it to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't imagine him coming up with
I agree with that
on his own. Yeah. Okay, you ready?
And you're playing, this is, explain what you're going to try to play right now.
My conversation with Detective Kirkland, I made this call to him when my handwriting experts first concluded that they thought Courtney had written that letter. And I thought that was important. If she had written that letter, then that was really important. Turned out later, within a week or two after this conversation, that's when I found out from getting Callie into my office that I determined completely 100%, no, he wrote that note. And then I had to call Kirkland back up and say, I got to tell you, I was wrong about that. I tested it myself. I told my my document examiners what my conclusion was. One of them was stubborn and refused to agree with me. The other one finally did agree with me and told me I was right. So I had to, after this conversation, I had another one that's tape recorded, but we won't play that here today, where I called up and I was, it was kind of a sense of embarrassment for me. And it really, I'm sure, lowered my degree of confidence with the Seattle Police Department because I made such a big deal about this handwriting letter, this letter on the stairs. So I have a bone to pick with handwriting examiners, and I don't believe that it's an accurate science. And they can tell how old letters are sometimes, and they can tell how old ink is and things like that. But telling me or anybody that the handwriting style and all that shows that this is a man or a woman or their personality type or anything, I'm convinced that's a bunch of baloney. So here we go. AFT 701. And then they
asked me to send them a fax of the note that Callie had given me, the sample in here, which I did. And they came back about a half an hour later and said they have very strong opinions that this was not written by the same person. Well, we have submitted the writings we have to our client lab. And I don't care if Callie writes a note or Courtney writes a note. That has nothing to do, it has nothing to do with our investigation. If Kurt Cobain wrote the suicide note and the suicide note in Rome, that's all I care about. You're not interested in the fact that a note shows up at the house, supposedly written by Callie. Turns out it wasn't written by Callie, and there's a possibility it was written by Courtney, and Courtney was in Los Angeles at the time. How can you say when the note was written? I was at the house the night before, and the note wasn't there. It was there the next night. If you're not interested, I don't care. I'm just giving you the information I know. And I understand that. But I think that your investigation is into things that our investigation doesn't apply to. Where, maybe, you're concerned with what he was doing, where he was, and all that. And the only thing, I'll tell you, Tom, truth is, normally our homicide unit does not even respond to suicide. If the patrol officer thinks it's a suicide and feels good about it, then he notifies the medical examiner's office. Or MD goes out there, they look at the body. If they're comfortable with it, suicide, we don't even respond. Now we're involved in this thing because it is Kurt Cobain.
Okay.
Wow.
Seems like they had no interest, huh?
Yeah, they made their conclusion. They didn't want anybody sticking their nose into this and making them look bad, for one thing. But to say that for him to say he didn't care about this note, or a note written by Courtney, or note written by Callie or anybody else, well, yeah, you don't care. You don't care. You've written this off, and you're not going back no matter what comes up. You don't care, Now, I didn't have a chance to play this for Captain Lowe. Just a second. But we discussed things like this on the phone, and he's absolutely disgusted about things like this.
You're going to make him work. He might have to do something.
Right. They hate that.
No?
Well,
My
I don't
God,
know.
I just
I
want
don't know
this
what
to be
he'll do
over.
with it. All I know is this guy's got integrity, and he has a history with the department of watching over, as a supervisor, as a commander. And when he sees and hears things like that, especially if it was within his own division, he detests it. And he just he told me a lot of things that went on in that department that I'll let him talk about when he wants to talk about. But I just really appreciated his attitude and his openness about what went on. And we're going to hear some pretty good things to come, I think.
Yeah, let me add to that when I first heard about Captain Lowe, I thought it was so unbelievable that I didn't even check into it. It was actually, I believe, and I'm sure she'll correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was a patron of my channel named Danielle Baker. About a year and a half ago or so, maybe even 2 years ago, she sent me this link and she said, hey, this Seattle officer is writing a book, or wrote a book, and it seems like he really thinks, the Kurt Cobain case was not solved. That and I'm like thinking to myself, this is too good to be true. Like there's no way this is true. But it stuck in the back of my mind, and then about a week later, I finally looked into it myself, and it actually took me quite a while to get Captain Lowe to talk to me. So I'm very happy that he's now comfortable talking about this publicly. I did want to give credit to, if it was Danielle, I wanted to give credit to her. I think she may have been the first person to ever talk about it.
Yeah. And that's the way these things work. there's so many things that I've received, leads that I've received through email or messages or whatever, that have, taught me things that once I followed that lead, that, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And that's added to my reports and my notes and things over the years. And if it wasn't for, Cobain fans out there that are staying on top of this and reading and looking at everything they can find, I certainly wouldn't know a lot of what I've learned, And in this case,
it really is a collaborative effort.
Yes, definitely. In this particular case, if it wasn't for you, Charles, we wouldn't probably have known about Captain Lowe. I think I mentioned this in an email to you. Until either he or I were 6 feet under, because we're about the same age. And I might live to be 90 or 95 years old, but you just never know, So it's so important that this came out in time, if nothing else were to follow. I'll tell you, this was such a powerful interview in itself, all by itself. And I think after I talked to him and got a feel for his personality and his attitude about this whole thing, I think there's going to be a lot more interviews. I hope he does another one with you. In fact, and hopefully all the interviews will be with you, because
I'm sure at some point I'm actually hoping at some point that somebody like, Rolling Stone interviews him. That would be terrific.
That's going to happen. I don't think
I believe it's going to happen. I think a lot of people out there right now were like me originally. I said, this sounds too good to be true, so I didn't pay attention to it. I don't think it's really sunk in with everybody yet, like how prestigious this guy is, how much influence he has. He could actually help to make a change. He really could.
Yeah. I don't think he really has a lot more to look at, and as he gets more into the case and learns even more, and listen to some of these recordings like we just played from Detective Kirkland, who I'm sure he remembers, I think he's going to want to be even more helpful. So I think there's really good things ahead for this.
I want to add that if Captain Lowe does do another interview with me, for you Kristen Pfaff fans, we will be talking a little bit about Kristen Pfaff. He was involved in that as well. So that'll be in, hopefully in the very near future. And again, I don't want to put any words in his mouth, so I'm not going to say anything. But second interview, Kristen will come into the conversation more.
And I know we've talked a little bit about things probably we can't say about that, but is there any kind of hints you can give anyone? Is there anything else? Because I'm interested in that, Charlie. I imagine a lot of your fans, American Spy Fox, are very interested in that Kristen Pfaff part.
Yeah, well, he had told me that, I'm not sure exactly what his position was in 1994, but he did say that he went to Pfaff's apartment the day after, and he was in some kind of position where he would go to these death scenes and make sure they didn't miss anything, kind of like comb over the place again, make sure they didn't miss anything. And they did miss something, and it was her journals. And he did, for the investigation, he did take those. So that'll be something that I'll talk about and let him explain. But what I'm trying to say is he's the guy who got Kristen Pfaff's journals originally.
Yeah. And he did agree to do another interview towards the end of this first one with you. So
I can't wait for that.
He also told me that he looks forward to speaking with me some more. So
yeah.
I think this is a good combination of events here, and it's gonna lead to places that I don't think most people are really expecting.
Yeah, and Tom can talk to him in a way that I can't. I mean, Tom worked as an officer. He has law enforcement background. I have none of that, right? And they're about the same age. So I think you guys are maybe within a couple years of each other. So naturally, they're going to be able to talk about things and understand each other in a way that I wouldn't.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I've over all of these years, of course, I get emails and messages from people. And I say, Tom, why don't you arrest her? Why don't you do something? Why don't you open the case? And the average
Yeah,
public doesn't even understand the basics of something like that. A private investigator doesn't go out there and arrest and prosecute people. I have had no more power as a private investigator as an 18-year-old girl right out of high school.
yeah.
So I can only feed information to the authorities and investigate, privately things, and then try to get things done based on what I found. But so the point that Charlie is sort of making is that unless you are a police officer or have been a police officer or even been part of the legal system, the court system, there's a lot that the average person just doesn't understand when they think in terms of strategy and what's important, what's not important, and that type of thing. So I thank you, Charles. That really cleared a lot of things up for the listeners, I think, by you discussing that.
Hey, one thing that got me excited about that interview was when I did ask him, I didn't know if you guys were going to talk about this or not, so I'll bring it up. I did ask him if he thought a change would ever be made. And, I was kind of expecting the worst. I was expecting him to say, nah, I don't think so. But he didn't. He said, with some outside pressure, sure, it made me, it gave me hope, I guess. It made me feel better. All this isn't in vain. This whole group, the Facebook groups, everybody who continues to research the Cobain case that's keeping it alive. If we all just quit, then definitely a change wouldn't be made, right? So yeah, I'm glad that he reacted that way.
I think he said something like, yeah, if a groundswell occurs here and some pressures applied on the Seattle Police Department, he said, it could happen. And he said, and this is the key part, I really hope it does happen, So
yeah.
He and for those out there listening, you might think that, well, he can just go back to the Seattle Police Department, talk to his old friends or people that he supervised and tell them to do this or tell them to do that. And it doesn't work that way after you've retired.
Political.
It's very political. Even when he was on the department, it's very political. And he did have other chiefs that came and went that were above him. And no matter what he would say to another chief about how something may or may not have been done properly, it's up to the chief to decide whether they want to follow through on that. The other thing about being a captain or being a chief of police, too, that some people don't realize, we're really focused on this Cobain case. I am, because I got stuck with it, and I followed through with what I felt I had to do. And then as I got to the point where I just really lost the energy that I needed to do the type of thing that Charlie's doing, Charlie kind of carried the ball and has kept people interested in this case. And now this happened.
Like
and
a relay race.
If Charlie wouldn't have carried the ball for a while there, I never would have heard about this. Nobody else may have ever heard about it. Charles, of course, got notified by somebody that there was this book out there, but it's a fictionalized book. Most people reading that book, first of all, he doesn't write for Cobain fans. He writes a lot of different types of books for people that like to read novels and mystery things. So the average reader of this picking up that book would never have any idea that it was about the Cobain case until recently, when he told us now publicly that it was about the Cobain case. So that's why we didn't hear about it. And whether it was Danielle or someone else, whoever it was that picked up on it and sent that link, I just, I'm trying to help the audience to understand why this took so long. That book was written 2 or 3 years ago, at least. But
because he did not promote it as a Cobain thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I think that's why it slipped past everybody.
If that cover would have had Cobain's name on the cover,
right?
It would have.
Hey,
been...
I'd like to read one of the. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to read one of the endorsements on. Obviously, when people write books, other people review them. So there's this lady named Anne Bremner. If you buy the book, by the way, I believe Captain Lowe said it was restocked on Amazon. We can put in the description his PayPal. You can buy a book directly from him if you'd like, if you're within the U.S. Anne Bremner was a prosecuting attorney, and she had actually been on the Nancy Grace show as sort of expert. You know how they have guests come on, legal experts and stuff. And she read and reviewed the book. This is what she said. Excellent reading. I'd love to get this defendant in the courtroom and put her butt on the stand. She has a lot of explaining to do. And I'm not going to answer this question, but I asked Captain Lowe, is Anne Bremner referring to the character in the book, Kim Darling, or is she referring to who? And you know what he said.
Yeah.
So here you have a prosecuting attorney saying, I'd love to get her on the stand, Yeah.
And a leading, very well known, she appears on TV shows all the time. This isn't just some single person with a little law office somewhere. This is a very credible attorney.
Absolutely. Charlie, you mentioned Rolling Stone earlier. It occurred to me thinking about the politics of the police department, how things are run. I think there's also a politics in the media, and especially with Courtney Love's influence in the past. I think it's funny. So many things I speak on this. It comes from your show, man. I just watch your show and then I just absorb it. It's all from you, but it's so much in the past. I think she had that power to kind of stomp on Tom. Radio, but now no one's afraid. Do you think Rolling Stone and the rest will actually jump on this? And if they why haven't they yet? You put it out a few weeks ago. Why hasn't this broken news? I've seen stuff that
it's interesting. Rolling Stone has actually linked, I think, at least 3 of my videos in their articles, but they've never written about me or given me credit or anything, but they sure don't mind using my videos. I think if Captain Lowe, I think the whole thing could go mainstream. I really do. I think people would take him much more seriously because of his credentials, because of his background. I think a lot of people are going to say, hey, wait a second, maybe there is something to this. And it might take some time, but slowly, as Tom said, maybe over the next few weeks or months, maybe even a year or two. I do believe that, look, 30th anniversary is coming up in April, and that's when the mainstream media starts writing about Cobain. Hopefully, one of these people are going to get in touch with Captain Lowe or Tom or whoever, If you're asking me if I believe it'll happen, yes, I do believe it'll happen.
Let me follow up on that topic there for a second. With 30 years on this thing almost, I've had really highs and really lows, obviously, and that's normal. Even, if I was a detective working for a police department and you're following a lead that you think is going to really be hot and go somewhere, and you get there and it's kind of a dead end and you're disappointed. But so there's been things probably 100 times or more over 30 years now where, okay, we got this now, and I get all excited and somebody's come forward, somebody willing to speak. and then, they tell me, yeah, but I don't want my name used. Just this is between me and you. Well, if anybody knew how much information I have from really credible sources that were on the inside, Isaiah Silva, I can mention his name. I won't tell you what he told me, but I worked for them for a while. They called me, and I met with the family and him, and I stayed overnight actually the first night, or no, I think it was a couple nights after that, to help protect his ex-wife and their daughter. But
this was right during that incident with the mother-in-law and that whole thing.
Yeah, when he first came out, I'm the one that got him to file the police report, and then I took him to file a what do you call this order?
Protection order.
Restraining order.
Yeah, I took him there and helped him get that done at an office in downtown Los Angeles. And I went up to the house with him and his mother and his dad, and we went through the house that he and Francis lived in, and I took photographs all in and out throughout that house. Of course, I would never release those photographs without his permission, and there's really no need to. It's not important, and I wouldn't want to embarrass Francis. This has nothing to do with Kurt Cobain's death, but it's a lot of great gossip stuff.
Tom, was this you took photographs after they had broke down the door, the window? Is that what you're talking about?
After the kidnap attempt, I actually took a photograph of the back glass door that they broke, and went in, and they allowed me to take photographs everywhere throughout the house. But there's pieces of information that I've never told anybody, because the person that gave me that information asked me not to use their name. So I could make up anything if I was willing to just say an unknown source or an unnamed source or a close family friend, or what a lot of book writers do, and
which the mainstream media does all the time.
Yeah. So if I can't use the person's name of my source, if I can't use my source's name, I'm not going to tell the story. What I've told you about the Isaiah Silva thing is, it was already made public. It was written about in the media, Page 6, and different various local things. I think it was discussed briefly on TMZ, but so it's not a secret. I didn't just tell you a secret. I've told you a little bit more about the photographs, but that's no big deal, because I don't plan on releasing those.
Do you guys think that he'll ever speak? Like, I've never heard Isaiah Silva speak.
Oh, that's a whole different thing. That kind of branches off into a whole different thing about the kidnapping and all that. I'd be more than happy to come back and talk about that a little bit, but it turned into a court case, and they have other people. They lived a long ways away from where I was, so it wasn't very likely that I was going to continue being the person that they were dealing with on that for a long time. It would be just difficult. They needed to get somebody closer, and they did have an attorney close by, so they put a team together down there. But I wanted to get back to what Charlie was talking about. When these things happen and you think, wow, this is going to kick something off, it always goes much slower than I expected it to go. I thought, oh, I'm going to get calls on this now. I'm going to get people in the media calling me, wanting to talk to me about this and that and everything. And it doesn't happen for a while. I'm thinking, wow, I thought that was something big, But then, a few weeks later, you get the first call. And then after you do, like even a broadcast radio interview or something, other people pick up on it, and it starts trailing off. And before long, with something like this, I use the word, and I don't mean to be hyperbolic. What's the word for that?
Hyperbolic?
That's it. Thank you, Charlie. I don't mean to exaggerate or anything, but I use the word explode. I think this is going to explode. And I don't think it's going to explode tomorrow, or maybe not next week, maybe not next month. But Wait for it. Just wait for it. Do you want to go back to the interview? And I've made some notes about some points of the interview that you guys had.
Yes, let's go back to the interview.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's do that.
One thing I really enjoyed was his comment talking about the position of Kurt when he was when he allegedly killed himself. He made the comment, sitting up. Who sits up that way? You remember that, Charles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you know, we've looked at the diagrams and that, and we know from, I mean, I believe from Dr. Hartshorn's comments and all that we got from him on tape, that he was sitting up when that was done. But Captain Lowe talked about, you know, normally men, they don't like to just sit up like that, you know, on the floor with their legs on the floor and no back support. They'd want to be with something behind their back. And so he says, sitting up, who sits up that way? Well, somebody sits up that way when there's somebody holding them up that way and another person putting things in position. That's who sits up that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always referred back to the bar stool in the room. It'd have been so much easier to put the butt of a gun on the floor and sit on a bar stool, and just lean forward. But he made it. That's a great point that he makes. You know, the way it happened would be the most likely way it would happen if other people were doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Manipulating him.
As far as the heroin blood level, I don't think he's done enough research yet into that, and I'm sure he will be. And he hasn't seen some of the things and talked to some of the people. I mean, Dr. Wecht made that so clear in the film, and there's so many other people that are knowledgeable about that. And I mean, watch a heroin user shoot up on YouTube. You can find it on YouTube. I know I've seen it on YouTube. And man, they put that needle and they start pushing the plunger, and within a few seconds their head goes back and they go like that, and then they start nodding off. I mean, there's no time for Kurt to put away the needles and put the caps back on the needles and roll his sleeves down. And I think Captain Lowe even said, you know, button his sleeves and things like that. So, and I mean, the most important thing, really, I don't know that he's really looked at the video that you talked about a little bit, Charlie, about me stopping the video every time Szynski would say something and then I would respond to it.
Oh, yeah.
Detective Szynski proved that this had to have been a murder, and he didn't even realize it during that interview he did back in 2014. Everything he said.
With your Tom, with your permission, I'd like to actually put that video on my channel so more people can see it, and they'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Nobody ever has to ask my permission to copy anything that I've done or written or anything. I've always tried to make that clear, but I probably never said that to you, Charles. But I've always tried to make it clear to anyone. I don't copyright anything. I will never file a YouTube claim about anybody that uses anything from mine, even if they're using it for critical purposes. I don't care.
Yeah, but go ahead, because Captain Lowe mentioned Szynski in our interview. He didn't say Szynski's name. He just said the cold case investigator.
Yeah, but that's who he was talking about. And
yeah, he was talking about Szynski.
Yeah, since he's named so many other names, you know, on the record now with you, I'm sure if we were talking, or if you were talking to him and you mentioned that, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I feel that he'd probably say, oh yeah, that was Szynski, you know.
Yeah.
But when you say go ahead, I'm not really prepared.
You were talking about the video you made where Szynski was proving that it was murder, and you added commentary to explain, to add more context.
Yeah, I was basically
to his interview.
correcting what he was saying and being critical of what he was saying, and basically showing how everything he said didn't make any sense, including he started going on about as if he was in the room watching this whole thing. Well, I believe Kurt did this, and then I believe Kurt did that, and then I believe he went over and he sat down on the floor, and then he loaded the shotgun with 3 shells, and and talking like that, like he was there. He got that from reading Charles Cross's
book.
Like that.
Yeah, you're right. It literally says the same thing in Charles Cross's book.
I mean, is that how you investigate or reinvestigate, even review?
He read the book that Courtney Love commissioned and then said that was the case. Like,
yeah. And especially when he just, outwardly said it, and then he loaded the shotgun with 3 shells. Okay, wait a second, Detective Szynski, what are the 3 shells for? If you're trying to say that he sat down to load the shotgun so he could kill himself, why did he load it with 3 shells? And I've always I don't mean to make light of this, but it's like, what was he going to go duck hunting after that?
Right.
So, if people haven't watched that interview with Detective Szynski, we'll make sure that it gets online. I think I looked for it the other day, and the entire thing wasn't there, but I know it's in my computer, and we can get it. I can send it to Charlie maybe, and he can put it on his channel.
Love it.
Captain Lowe said, I told the cold case investigator that there were leads he needed to follow up on. He needed to interview Courtney Love, and he just looked at me and said, nope. And he even said to me, if I was his captain at that time, his butt would have done it. Yeah.
And people need to understand too. Again, they're going to say, well, why didn't he do this, or why didn't he do that? He was there. He was a captain. Why didn't he make him do it? It just doesn't work that way in a police department. You can make suggestions to somebody else's employees, another captain's employees, but you can't take over and say, no, you've got to do that. That's an order. Now, if he would have been captain of homicide at the time, then he could have, he would make those decisions.
Right. He could have made him do it, but it just goes to prove that Szynski had no interest in being 100% for sure. He was just, reiterating the original investigator's conclusion. He wasn't going to go out of his way to even investigate.
And he embellished on all of that to the point that it was so extreme, he dug a deep hole that the Seattle Police Department will never get out of, because he proved by the comments that he made that Kurt Cobain could not have committed suicide. And yet, of course, he ended up his interview by saying, it was my decision. It was my my place to make the decision. I forget how he said it. He said, I think I was the one to make the decision, and I concluded it was suicide. I haven't looked at that for a long time, so I may have gotten the wording wrong.
I got the feeling that he made up his mind before he even started. And as you pointed out, as I watched that interview, all I think about is Charles Cross's book. I'm like, this guy literally read that book. Anybody who reads Heavier Than Heaven and then watches Szynski's interview, you're like, oh my God, he's repeating what the author said.
Exactly. Yeah. And he brags about the fact that he read books and his research, to make a final determination as a cold case detective on this. In his research, he read a lot of books. There you go.
Yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, Courtney Love paid Charles Cross to write Heavier Than Heaven. So it's like, oh my God.
Sounds like propaganda.
Sorry. Go on, Tom. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. I want input from everybody. And Mike, feel free to jump in here anytime.
Well, I think I want to talk more about the Neil Lowe interview. I think you got some more points on that.
Oh, that's all I want to talk about is the Neil Lowe interview.
There's other questions too. People keep bringing up Callie. They want you to talk about Callie tonight, but let's talk about Neil Lowe interview.
Yeah, let's see.
I agree with what Captain Lowe said. You know, we know Callie wrote the note, but anybody who reads that note knows that a man would not talk to another man like that.
Right.
It's a woman complaining to her husband.
Yeah. The handwriting was the man's, but I really believe Courtney dictated to Callie basically what to write on that note. And as I had explained to Kirkland, I was in the house the night before and that note wasn't there. The next night it was there, and it just obviously appeared to me to have been put there for me to find. And Courtney's own attorney, Rosemary Carroll, agreed with that. That was the first thing she said is, yeah, I think she wanted you to find that, you know. Something I enjoyed about what Charles said, he says, I can see myself believing it was a suicide. And my response to that is, me too. If I would have been even a patrolman on the Seattle Police Department at that time, and if I was working off of a note that was, or a missing persons report that had been filed saying that he bought a shotgun and was suicidal, and I arrived there, I would have thought it was a suicide. The difference is I was an LA County Sheriff's deputy. Any dead body, even if it was somebody homeless found dead that maybe even froze to death in the middle of the night or whatever, when we responded to the scene of a dead body, no matter what we thought of the cause of death, our job was just to protect the scene, tape it off if we had to or whatever. If it was in a remote area, a lot of times we didn't have to keep the public away because they couldn't see it. But our job was to sit there and wait for homicide to get there and touch nothing, don't walk around anything, do nothing, just wait. We'll be there. And sometimes I waited for homicide to arrive on a dead body case for 12 hours or more. So the fact that they still apparently allow the patrol officers to determine whether somebody died from a suicide or not is just, I still can't comprehend that. I can't comprehend it. They're not trained. They don't have the experience. That's not their job to look into all those details. And the best way to kill somebody is to make it look like a suicide. And a lot of people get away with it if they do a really good job of it. Over 99%, or I shouldn't say over, but close to 99% of all suicides, or I should say stage suicides, there's either drugs, alcohol, or the person is asleep. They're disabled completely when they're killed. And then after that, the gun, the weapon of whatever, it can be manipulated and put in whatever position the killer wants to put it in. So good grief, a patrol deputy arriving at the scene of a staged suicide, and they're allowed to decide for themselves whether it was a suicide or a staged suicide. That's just crazy. And that's
I just listened to that recording today when you emailed me. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He said, Kirkland literally said, if the officer says it's a suicide, we don't even send homicide out. I was like, what? You're kidding.
Unreal.
How about Lowe saying the shotgun disappeared and somebody was trying to keep it for themselves?
Yeah, that was crazy. Auction. They wanted a souvenir to auction off, right?
Yeah, I had never heard that before. That's new to me, and I'm sure there's a lot of things. I mean, there's a lot of things that I saw and experienced and witnessed that Captain Lowe didn't. Then obviously, him and his position and being there before and after on that department before and after Kurt had died, there's a lot of stuff obviously that I don't know about and that I wasn't aware of, and I learned some of that just the other day when I talked to him. So it's going to get really
great. Now you guys can put your puzzle pieces together and you can see more of the picture.
Yeah. We both enjoyed speaking with each other. It was, I got to tell you this. This is something that happened that was funny, Charles, because I've like I said, talking to somebody like this from Seattle Police Department with his stature, I just couldn't believe that he wanted to talk to me. And it took a while for
Right.
me.
It's almost like Courtney Love wanting to talk to you, right?
Yeah. Well, I had that all the time, but not wanting to talk to me anymore, certainly, you know. But
yeah.
so I had to wait for a few days to make the phone call to him. And I was kind of preparing things in my mind, you know, if it didn't sound good, if it was going downhill, how I would react and all that, and what I would say and not say. And I was a little nervous about it, you know, because this was really a big thing.
Yeah.
And I called him, and I think he also said, just leave a message. I think, Charles, from you told me on his, or I saw on that text he wrote to you, if he doesn't answer, just leave a message or whatever. So I was prepared for that too. But I was surprised he answered the phone. It sounded like he was driving at the time, and I heard some music or something in the background. And he says, hello, hello. Didn't sound like the friendly Captain Lowe that I'd heard on your show.
I see.
Yeah. And then I hear, I look at my phone and it says on hold. So meanwhile, he was turning the radio down and all that so he could hear better. Then he comes back and he says, hello, hello. And I said, hi, Captain Lowe, this is Tom Grant. Click. It hung up.
Oh boy.
It hung up right after I said Tom Grant. And I went from, you know, feeling way above the ground to feeling so, you know, so.
You thought he hung up on you?
These are the highs and lows you go through with something like this. And I've had that, you know, with other people from the Seattle Police Department stuff where they didn't want to talk to me. I've been hung up on other people too when they hear my name. And I thought, now he's had time to think about it, and he's decided, no, I don't want to talk to him. People are telling me not to talk to him, whatever. And, you know, I sat there for a few minutes just going, I was so down about this whole thing. And I thought, well, this isn't going to go anywhere, you know, and then the phone rings and it's him. And he said, hi, did somebody from this number call me? I said, oh, hi, Captain Lowe, this is Tom Grant. And this time he said, oh, hi, Tom. And it began from there. And it was just, you know, mutual conversation that we both enjoyed. And we both got so much out of it. I think he would say that too.
Phenomenal.
So I just thought that was funny. You know, hi, this is Tom Grant. Click.
Right. Yeah. I would have thought the same thing if it happened to me.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking for the open marriage thing that he talked about, and you had an opinion on that, didn't you, Charles?
Yeah, I believe I said the open marriage was one-sided, but I had talked to the captain about this after our recorded chat. And he said, you know, in the future, when we record videos, I need to make it very clear when I'm talking about the real case and when I'm talking about, you know, what I might write in a book, right?
The fiction.
Because
yeah,
we were kind of blurring the line between, you know, the real case and like maybe something that's going on in a book he wrote or he's writing. I think he has probably heard Courtney Love over the last, I would say, over the last 2 years. She has spun this narrative that her and Kurt, she's never come out and said they had an open marriage, but for example, in an interview, she said, oh, when Kurt was in Brazil, I encouraged him to sleep with a model. And the interviewer's like, oh, did he do it? And she's like, yeah, he did it. I think now Courtney is trying to spin this narrative that they were sort of in this open marriage so people won't hate her for all the cheating she did, just like she spun the suicide narrative after his death. So maybe Captain Lowe has heard something like that and assumed that they had an open marriage. But no, they did not have an open marriage. This is Courtney just making up more lies in very recent interviews. She's never said anything like that in all the years since Kurt's been dead, up until the last year or two. So
I
for
agree
anybody
with
wondering
that.
about that, yeah,
And
it's not.
Yeah, and you know what?
Go
You
ahead,
can go
Mike.
back to Mary Lou Lord. Like, I don't want to bring her name into it because I've been friendly. I know her, and I don't
Yeah.
think she wants to get involved in this stuff. But
No. I've
you know,
talked to her.
the way he treated her, like she was not nice to other women around Kurt. Kristen, right? I mean, it's obvious, right?
Yeah,
Very
no,
covetous.
he's extremely
Yeah.
jealous and possessive. I mean, even the drug dealer, who apparently was a pretty little blonde, I never actually saw
Exactly.
her, but she threw a rock. She bought drugs from her once, and I have her on tape talking about this. She bought drugs from her and then went around to the kitchen window and threw a rock through her window. And I think she was with
Jeez.
Kathy Palin too when they did that.
So yeah,
Courtney's thrown rocks through so many people's windows. My God, she would have, if she was a normal person, she'd have been in and out of jail her whole life. You
Well,
know?
she tried to light a woman on fire too, Kristen King. And Kristen King, by the way, called
Yeah,
after that happened. And in fact, she
she
was
did.
yeah, I met her later at an event, and she said, "Tom, it's Kristen King." And you know, it was the first time I saw her in person, but we had talked a lot by phone before she did her civil lawsuit against Courtney over that. And
Yeah.
but I know the whole story there. I'll tell it real quick if you want to hear it. She went over to
Yeah, I
Jim
know it, but the viewers don't. So yeah, let the
Sure.
viewers know.
I think at the time, if I get the names right now, like I said, it's been a while since I've looked at. His name was Jim Barber. Is that right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the boyfriend.
Right. Courtney was dating him at the time, and Kristen was just over there sleeping on some couch. I have a picture in my mind that it was like in the foyer of a house, sort of near the front door or whatever. And he was in his bedroom. She wasn't in his bedroom with him, but Courtney shows up and sees her sleeping there with a blanket over her, and starts beating on her and hitting on her. And I won't get into all the details because some of it involves private parts and stuff, but and Kristen gets up and starts running out the door. Courtney, my interviewing skills are very rusty because I haven't done interviews for a long time.
I've said that before. I've said Courtney because you're like Kurt and Courtney. Courtney.
Well, I
I've
mean,
said
this
that a
whole
million
It's
interview,
easy to do.
this
Easy.
whole interview right from the beginning, I've realized it's been a long time since I've done this, and I'm very, very rusty at it. But so Kristen is running out the front door with the blanket around her, and Courtney grabs a bottle of whiskey and pours it, follows her, chasing her, and pours it on her on that blanket over her. And then there was a candle on something nearby, and Courtney grabbed that candle and threw it at the back of that blanket. It didn't light up, but obviously this was a woman trying to set somebody on fire. And
exactly.
If that would have happened in my area when I was a deputy sheriff, and if I would have handled the call, Courtney would have been arrested for attempted murder. I think that happened in Beverly Hills or some other city. And my sergeant, after he read the report, maybe he would say, "Now we're going to kick her loose. There's not enough here," or whatever. But she would have been arrested by me as a patrol officer arriving at that call. She would have been arrested for attempted murder. And then it would all get sorted out from there, and the prosecutors and everybody else would make their decisions. That's the way it goes. A patrol officer can only do so much. But that was an attempted murder on the books. I mean, legally defined.
Tom, you know the worst part about that is Frances. She took Frances Bean to the house with her. Frances was like 11 or 12 years old, and she witnessed this.
Oh, really?
Frances talked about it on Instagram once.
Oh,
well, what did she say? What did she say about it?
She just said, basically my mom's nuts. She drugged me out in the middle of the night to go throw rocks through her ex-boyfriend's window. She found a woman there and tried to kill her.
Wow.
Like it's very, yeah, it's not like we're not telling you something that hasn't been confirmed. Like
Yeah.
Frances herself has talked about it.
See,
Imagine having that in your childhood memory,
I'm still learning things here because I think, I mean, I spoke to Kristen a lot of times. We were on the phone on and off for actually months on and off. And she had a manager. She's a singer too. And she had a manager that was calling me on a regular basis. In fact, her manager
I
showed
was
up.
going to ask you, wasn't Jim Barber her manager at the time? Isn't that why she was there?
Could have been. Yeah.
Could have been. I don't know for sure. I think that I read Jim was helping her in some way, like some kind of business relationship.
Yeah. And Charles, see, you find out things that I don't find out because I mean, as much as people expect me to, I don't spend my life tracking down Courtney Love and making sure where she is and what she's doing and who she's with.
You know who does? Charles, American Spy Fox. I figured I would just jump up on this part. I've been watching and listening. It's funny how quiet I was on this interview because I had Charlie. I had Charlie here with Tom, the two legends in covering Courtney Love and Kurt Cobain's death. The private detective ex-cop, Tom Grant, with Charlie, who's an encyclopedia, and he, like he said in his video earlier, he gets the info for his fans. He gets that info, and it's well sourced. The source is Frances Bean Cobain. She said this. He's got it. He watches everything. He researches. He's meticulous. He's so good at this. I'm really pumped up to have him back on the show because there's a lot that's happened in the last 2 years since we interviewed these two guys together. And this was when Charlie found a captain with the Seattle police who was in charge when Kurt Cobain died. And Charlie broke it. Charlie broke it. Rolling Stone and everyone else ran with it. Charlie broke that story. Charlie reads the books. He watches all the interviews. He gets the info for his fans. Well sourced. I'm looking forward to having him back on. I love this platform that we can feature different journalists, different YouTubers that are doing good work, and that you're here. They may say the audience is small, but there's an audience, and I know that more people will watch it later. That's always what happens to the best content. So thank you for being here, and I hope you're looking forward to having him back on the show. American Spy Fox. Charlie is going to be back on the show very soon.
So I find these things out from other people. And the
I
reason
find out from
I'm
Charlie.
sure I didn't know that
Tom and I find out these things from other people named Charlie, American Spy Fox. That's how we find out. He's meticulous.
Frances, that I didn't know Frances was with her at that time. I don't imagine Kristen knew that Frances was there because all she was trying to do is save her life and get away from Courtney. Oh, and by the way, after she threw that candle, Kristen fell on the front lawn and was on her stomach and then on her back, and Courtney was still on top of her, pinching her and beating on her and stuff like that until she got up and got out of there.
Oh yeah.
And she wasn't
she like pinching her like chest?
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird.
So she was so focused on just getting out of there and getting away. I doubt that she noticed that Francis was there.
Well, Francis was more than likely. I'm sure Courtney would have had a driver take them. She's probably in the car, but still, just
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you for letting me know. One of the reasons I'm covering this tonight and supporting and really pushing Charlie, American Spy Fox. Make sure you sub up. Sub up. It's pinned in the chat. If you're not subscribing to him, make sure you sub to Charlie, American Spy Fox, American Spy Fox. Because there are other channels, other YouTubers that noticed the work he was doing and the audience that he has over the years. I think it's over a decade. I'm wondering how long he's been covering this because I've been watching him for many years now on YouTube. Yeah, I was doing good until tonight. I had my first mute in a while, Sarah. We got to get that going again. We got to get that going where we if I can go 10 days, something happens. I get a special Christmas gift or something. But the thing about Charlie is there's these other YouTube channels that have come out and they've kind of Bigfooted him. What I mean by that is they got a large following, but they're not credible. I don't trust any of them. I don't watch any of them. A lot of this stuff seems very sus. It seems like tabloid shit. It doesn't seem trustworthy. They make a lot of conclusions. I just don't trust any of it. And I know that it drives Charlie a little crazy, American Spy Fox, because he doesn't like dishonesty and all of that. So if you're not, make sure you sub to him. American Spy Fox. Yes, that's what I like to see. Thank you, Rose. Become a fan of his, like I'm a fan of his. I need to watch more of his content, not less. That's the way I feel all the time. Like, I need to find more time for American Spy Fox. It's that good. His content is really good. Even tonight, we're hearing about he's the one that documents what Courtney has said, what Francis has said, what all these other characters. He found this Detective Lowe. He got Detective Lowe to speak on the record for the first time. A guy in the Seattle police that was there when it happened. Yeah, well, we will start tomorrow fresh on the muting. Let's see if we can get to 10 days without a mute. That's impossible for me.
imagine a person dragging their kid. That's the incident that led to Francis going to Kurt's mother, Wendy, the first time. That's why Courtney lost custody of Francis the first time. But I'm sure like Francis was probably in the car or something, but still.
Yeah.
Awful. I mean, she's got such a history of violence. That's the thing that I think a lot of the average people that don't follow this, they don't realize how many incidents of violence that she has, especially against women too.
Yeah. And you mentioned Mary Lou Lord. I mean, that was one of the first that the public heard about.
And men.
Yeah, men too.
Yeah.
Yeah, men too. That's the funny thing. Courtney actually doesn't discriminate with her violence, but a lot of women she's gone after. I mentioned Mary Lou Lord. She's somebody that's in the local, Massachusetts. If you're into music locally, Mary Lou Lord. She's the sweetest lady. She's very gifted, a very good musician.
Oh, and I think this came up.
And you know what sucks too is Mary Lou Lord is such a music fan. Like there were artists that became big time because Mary Lou Lord would just start performing their songs and promoting them in Subway. She was a busker and she was popular, and she's just that type of person. Like for her, and especially with Kurt Cobain, it was about the music. They were so connected on the love of music. Where Courtney, the whole thing wasn't about the music, it was about the money and the fame. That's why she was interested in these rock stars. It wasn't about the music. I really wish that Kurt Cobain had married Mary Lou Lord. Things would have changed, would have been so different. Because Mary Lou Lord was into the music. And I think that's why, and she was a real musician. She performs, she plays guitar. She's a songwriter. She champions other songwriters. She's phenomenal. And I think that's one of the reasons Courtney got so jealous of Mary Lou Lord and her relationship with Kurt Cobain.
Charles, during your interview with Captain Lowe, and you mentioned something about seeing a video or whatever of Courtney yelling at Eric Erlandson.
Yes, yeah.
I'm not aware of that video, but I am aware of my eyes and my presence and my ears. And that a similar incident happened when I was with her in the Peninsula Hotel, and Eric was there. Actually, Eric came in while I was there talking to Courtney, and he just mumbled. Eric talks really low and really, really soft, and just mumbled, "You ought to go down and see your daughter."
It's real creepy, yeah.
Yeah, Francis was a couple rooms down, and he just came in and said to Courtney, "You ought to go down and see your daughter." And Courtney just totally flipped out and started screaming, "Don't you ever talk to me like that. Don't you ever tell me what to do." And it didn't stop. I swear, it didn't stop for half an hour to 45 minutes.
Felt like I got that online from Courtney when I asked her butler, whoever that dude was. I think his name was Ross, that answered the phone. She left her number on my blog and told me to call her one day. Courtney Love. Because I was interested in some of the things she was posting. And when I started asking questions, when I was acting too much like Tom Grant, I was getting too private detective. I was doing journalism. When I tried to do journalism, Courtney got very mad at me. She made some post about me on her social media, attacking me. I felt like I got that online. If I had been in person, she would have been taking swings at me. That's the way it felt. The real Courtney Love.
There was no room for my conversation with Courtney. She was too involved with yelling at Eric. And even after he walked out the door, she followed him out the door.
It's funny. One of the questions I had for that guy, the butler who answered the phone for Courtney that day, is this the real Courtney Love? Because I couldn't believe Courtney Love is on my blog posting her fucking phone number on a public blog post. I couldn't believe it. Like, is this really Courtney Love? Like, I started asking questions. Of course, I'm a journalist. You gave me your number. Courtney got very mad. She expected me to kiss her butt. It's like, it's so funny. Of course, I'm going to want, is this really, and you know how I confirmed it was Courtney Love is when her official social media started attacking me. That's when I was like, it really is Courtney Love. Holy shit. That dude that answered was really Courtney Love's butler or whatever he is. Her butt boy. Her little assistant. Wild. That's Courtney Love. That is Courtney Love.
Was yelling at the back of his head as he walked down the hallway.
And he just took it? He just took it?
She'd come back in the room and, pounce down on it. She was sitting on a bed when we were talking most of the time. But before we could even get the conversation going again, she'd be up on her feet, running out the door to go yell at him some more. And literally, this carried on for somewhere between a half an hour and 45 minutes. It was just incredible. So
it's never ending. There's the stories that we hear about her, the stuff that she's done to people.
Just imagine Kurt living with that.
Awful. I mean, he had such a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. I want to make it clear.
I think that's why he's getting forced.
Yeah. I want to make something clear that I've said over the years several times. It's not a secret. When I talk about Courtney in those ways and point out things that she's done, I'm doing that with somebody who's an investigator and trying to get something done legally. I don't blame Kurt Cobain fans for hating her and saying really nasty things about her. From my perspective, that means nothing to me personally, and for the job that I've been trying to do for so long. I just say that she's mentally ill. I really believe that. And to bring up Hank Harrison, I knew him really well too. He wasn't violent, but he only cared about fame and money and people getting attention from people and doing interviews and stuff. He came across very nice, and so a lot of people just thought of him as a friendly person to talk to. I had experiences that will take over an hour to go into with him, that so I have a different opinion. But I will say that it doesn't fall far from the tree, and I think Courtney was born with some mental issues, and so I've even said, in a sense, I feel sorry for her. I'm sorry, Nirvana fans and Cobain fans, but I do feel sorry for her because I think she was born that way. And I think the fact that her father didn't treat her like a father should treat his daughter, even after Cobain's death, for him to come running to me and say, "Oh, we got to do a book together," and then the things he said in interviews about his own daughter publicly, her private life and all that, that's just not what a father is supposed to do. So in that sense, I
understand
sorry for her, and I believe she's mentally ill. I believe she's a psychopath. I believe she's a sociopath. And I had a psychiatrist actually call me and say, "I read what you wrote about her, and I agree with you 100%. But if a person is violent and if they're harming other people, they need to be taken off the street. They need to be put in jail or a facility or whatever to protect society." So in that sense, I still want to go after. I still want to have something done. I don't think she should get away with the things she's gotten away with, but that's because of her criminal activity and what she says and how she acts crazy and stuff like that. Kind of irrelevant to me because I think she is a lot.
It's important to establish.
Great points by Tom about Courtney and Hank. One of our mods sent me a link to a Wikipedia on Courtney Love. And she was disputing one of the things that I said tonight. And it was about Hank allegedly giving acid to Courtney Love as a young child. Hank denied that. He said that came from his wife, part of the divorce, and that her whole family on the mother's side had money, and they were trying to keep Hank from it. They felt like Hank was just married her for the money. So there was all this stuff going on there. Our mod pointed out that it does show on the Wikipedia that a second source allegedly testified in a court proceeding. I'm guessing it's the divorce against Hank. And it was basically one of his ex-girlfriends and Courtney's mom both testified that Hank did give Courtney acid as a young child. Again, we don't know if that's true. We don't know if that's part of a divorce thing. There's two sides to the story. I'm just trying to be fair. But my experience talking to Hank on the phone for a couple hours one day, I think we've had a couple conversations, but there was one day where we talked for a couple hours on the phone. And we did have a lot of texts back and forth. And I found everything that Tom just said 100% on the mark about Hank. He definitely had ego. I would say he's sociopathic, but I didn't find him violent. He would play games. He was testing me. He looked me up and he was like testing me on shit and be like, "You're not you're part of that cannabis scene," because he's a Grateful Dead guy, right? And I'm from the cannabis scene in Boston, but I'm younger than him. And he's like tested me like my bona fides, like my counterculture bona fides, which I don't even consider myself like a counterculture expert or like an icon or anything. But he was like, it was weird. It was weird. It was like he was like testing me on the Grateful Dead and the Berkeley stuff, and just it almost felt like a pissing match, like he was sussing me out. It was very strange, I have to say. So I could definitely see him playing a lot of games because I felt the games, and I was being very, kind of trying to soak up everything. I was trying to, humor him and listen to every word. So I definitely agree with Tom, everything he said here.
A pattern of behavior, and that's Kurt Cobain fans are the first to notice her patterns of behavior.
Yeah.
So that's why they dislike her, is because
Right.
it's not like they're just hating on her because for no reason.
Oh, I know.
It's her action. Yeah.
And if I was younger, when Cobain died, and if I was a Cobain fan or whoever it was that was what I felt was murdered or whatever, I'd have the same feelings. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. I'm older and I'm in a different position than the average Cobain fan. And so my look at this whole thing and my approach to it is different than, you.
I know exactly how you feel, because
I think we all three of us feel
like
that way.
Maybe your generation. Well, look at Yoko Ono and John Lennon. I don't hate Yoko Ono, but people who grew up with the Beatles hate Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any, I'm indifferent to her.
Right.
I don't care. So I completely understand what you're saying.
And especially about the mental illness and the upbringing. Tom, 100% on all of this. And I'll also add one other point about Hank Harrison. Even though I said all that, he was likable at the same time. He had a certain charm about him. Do you know what I'm saying? You could overlook a lot because I don't know, I can't explain it yet. You had to kind of speak to him, but at the same time, having said all that, I like the guy. Like if he wanted to meet up for coffee, I would have had coffee with him. And like no doubt about with their father, and I mean, definitely, I talked to him too, and he's a character. I mean, there's something he was very nice, like you said, but it's all about him.
Her mom abandoned her too.
I want to ask you about that.
Hank. I don't think her mom was.
What do you think about the mom? Because the mom is a best-selling author. You don't hear much about her, even though she's kind of famous in her own right. What do you, both of you? That's what I want to know. What do you think? Was it just Hank, or was it the mom too?
Well, I spoke to her mother on the phone shortly for a short period of time, and she was very nice to me and sounded like a average sweet lady. So I couldn't really pick up any characteristic traits from that might have been passed on through DNA to Courtney. I heard that Courtney's grandmother, made some very disparaging comments about Courtney, but there's not a whole lot there with her mom that I really have any insight to. Getting back to Hank Harrison, though, I caught him in so many lies every time we talked. And I'd say, well, wait, Hank, you just said this and then you said that. I'd call him on it. I remained friends with him, on a friendly basis, but I would call him out every time I catch him in a lie, including one night when he called me at about 2:00 in the morning and said, Courtney sent her goons after me and there's pit bulls attacking me. And we went on, and he was saying stuff that just was illogical in my brain. And I think what he was hoping I would do is post something right away or call the media or whatever. And coming from me saying, yeah, Courtney's even sending goons out to attack her father, but I wasn't buying it. And before the end of the conversation, as I kept catching him in lies and things that were illogical, he eventually admitted to me that these were his dogs. They were his bulldog or pit bulls that were making all the noise and barking and all that. And, in the background, it sounded really, really vicious, but they were his own dogs. And because I was asking him when he first called, I said, do you see men? Are there men standing around? What are men attacking you? Or let the pit bulls go? And, he would just cross himself up every time I'd ask him a question. And that is where experience as a detective or a police officer, you're always questioning people and they're always lying to you. You're always able to, you learn very fast how to pick the truth out of the fiction and boil it down to, what's real and what's not real. And so, gosh, with Hank, I don't think I even needed to have that skill. It was just so easy to cross him up. And unfortunately, there's just a lot of people just adore this guy. And he really did a lot of damage to our attempts. I mean, there's other people too that kind of got in the way, really,
Right.
and were a thorn in the side of the Seattle Police Department, antagonizing them. That didn't help, but I don't know that we'd be in any better situation right now than we are anyhow, but it just was kind of frustrating to see all the stuff going on the sidelines that was really just getting in the way. Charlie.
This is when we lost Charlie, American Spy Fox, off the show, unfortunately, and I had to take over. This may be where we ended actually tonight. I just want to get you a taste of Charlie tonight, American Spy Fox. This was the interview with Tom Grant. You can go back and watch the whole interview on our archive if you want. I'll even link it right now if anyone wants to watch it without my commentary. But I just wanted to go back to American Spy Fox tonight because I want to promote him and recognize that we got this interview with these two guys. And people will forever watch it. It's like kind of part of history, actually. And people are still watching this interview this week like they were when we did it 2 years ago. And I'm hoping to have Charlie back on the show, American Spy Fox. And I hope you're here. I hope you're here and ready for that. Yes. Like I said, I'm working on some shows. We're going to have some good shows coming up. Some good guests. Just going to be throwing them at you one by one. I'm looking forward to some of the guests that we're going to have on the show upcoming. Some first time or maybe not in a long time, like Charlie. He's not a first time, but he'll be the first in a while. There's going to be a lot of guests coming back like that to the show. Like I said, Mass State Auditor. I'm just about to book her. We have a date. We're about to confirm with the Mass State Auditor, Diana DeZoglio, will be back on the Young Jerks. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the upcoming content here. And I want to thank my mods and the ladies in the chat. Victorine, Sarah, thank you so much. I'm looking for my other mods. I had some other mods here. Joe Biffle didn't get in any trouble tonight. We didn't have to take away his wrench. He's still here. Thank you, Joe Biffle. Thank you for not moderating. He's the moderator that we don't want to moderate. He's really good though. We like him. We like his jokes. It's good to see Sue B in the chat tonight. Rose in the chat. Oh, Natalie. Natalie was here tonight too. I saw Natalie. Thank you, Natalie. I didn't miss anyone else, but I think that those are the mods that were here tonight. Oh, Sheila was here. Yeah, Sheila. Thank you. Sheila as well. Yeah, where is Biffle? I shut him out, but he's not here. He left us. He ghosted us. He's the employee that shows up at the start of work and then an hour later, he's gone. Where is he? Also, some other Epstein news today. We got the Attorney General is going to be deposed. We also found out Bill Gates is going to be deposed. Leon Black. There's a lot of big names. One of Trump's main, the Secretary of Commerce, I believe, Howard Lutnick, going to be deposed. A lot of big names. This congressional investigation continues, so we'll be airing those. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of these depositions upcoming. Yes, I'm excited about the lineup. I'm excited about the content. We also have Kelsey Fitzsimmons is coming up. Kelsey Fitzsimmons is going to be on trial in March. We have two Karen hearings this week. One, I think, is not going to be televised, so it's going to be hard to know what's going on Thursday, it seems like. But Friday, the court told me there will be some type of video being done by Channel 7. So there's a lot happening here. We're going to continue to report. I'm going to continue to bring journalists on the show, some musicians. Yeah, some music guys. Some people who play guitars, maybe. There's going to be a lot more authors, and some of the authors coming back that we've already had on the show. And some politicians, including Mass State Auditor Diana DiZoglio. She'll be coming back on the show this month as well. So we got so much in the queue. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'll see you soon. I don't know when. I don't have anything scheduled, but very soon you'll see a lot of shows being posted. So make sure you hit the subscription button, hit that sub button, all notifications. And again, make sure you sub up to American Spy Fox. Make sure you sub up. We got it pinned in the chat right now. When I end the video, I'll also leave it as the top pinned comment. Make sure you sub up to American Spy Fox as well. Both of us. That's all I want. I want subs for Young Jerks and American Spy Fox tonight. Thank you, Victorine. You won't be disappointed. If you like my content, you're going to like his. Yes, thank you for everybody being here. We'll see you soon. Have a great night. Not a long goodbye. Actually, I do have to thank a Venmo. I got a Venmo today. Someone sent me a Venmo, and I haven't even put up the Venmo today. We'll put up the Venmo. If anyone wants to Venmo us, sure I got the right one. There we go. It's the banner at the top tonight. And again, we're the Young Jerks. If you're just finding us for the first time, please subscribe. We cover a lot of different content, a lot of interviews, a lot of different subjects that you might be interested in. It's all about the discussion, the content, the journalism. We feature a lot of journalists on this show. Oh, yeah, Venmo. I got ADD tonight. Who Venmo'd me today? Oh, maybe it wasn't Venmo. I think it was the Cash App. Was it the Cash App? Well, maybe I'm not seeing it. Hold on. Oh, there we go. The Rogue Townie. He said $10 for peace, he says. The Rogue Townie sent $10 for peace. They want peace. I hope you're watching tonight, Rogue Townie. Thank you so much for the $10 on the Cash App. Funny. It is funny. I feel like we're there's a huge hurricane and we're just sitting in the eye of the storm. Like it's all that shit that's going on, all that drama on Twitter. And some people tagged us and try to bring us into it. It's like I'm good. I'm good over here. You know? Very good. I like JFK. I still watch a lot of JFK Show Off. That's another channel you should sub up on. You missed the maybe Rogue Town, he might come back. We'll see. But on this channel, we're just doing the content. I don't have time for that shit. I just don't. Especially knowing what I've been, I have a piece of paper right here with 25 names on it. That's my show over the next 6 months. That's the formula. And I don't know if I'm going to get all 25 of them on the show. That's why I'm not going to show you. Plus, people will try to steal my guests. That's what they always do with the guest list. But trust me, we're going to have a lot of good content here. And I'm looking forward to it. It's like refreshing. It's refreshing to do shows again that I am highly interested in. Not that I wasn't interested in Karen Reed, but after a while, if when you talk about the same shit night after night after night after night after night after night, you kind of you lose your spark a little bit. And I think what kept me going so strongly on it is because Karen's life was at risk. And we wanted to do whatever we could do to support her. There was kind of a stress on all of us. But she won. She won. And now it's a civil suit and people are fighting over the scraps. It's getting really weird. I'm not fighting over any scraps. I'm not fighting. There's not like I'm gonna continue to support Karen like I always have. I have mad respect for Karen Reed. But there's a lot of other things that I put on hold. I put on the back burner in my life and on this channel. And what's nice about it now is I could just do whatever I want. I got my show back. And people want to focus on the audience isn't as big or whatever. It's like that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is I'm liking the content. I'm excited that Charlie, American Spy Fox, is coming back on the show. Diana DiZoglio is coming back on the show. And I got a bunch of other names that will be coming back on the show, and I'm looking forward to it. Do not open the Twitter. I mean, you can look at it. It's entertaining, especially entertaining to see people spiral and blame their bullshit on other people. It's like no accountability to a lot of these people. It's just wild. It's like always when it's always somebody else's fault. You'll never see me do that. That's not me. When I do something wrong, I admit it. Move on. All right. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you soon. And again, hopefully, I'm hoping it's going to be soon. I'm going to hit up Charlie tonight. I'm really like, how about tomorrow night? How about what night should we do it on? What night do you want to do it on? What night do you want American Spy Fox? He's got a lot of new content he's talking about with Kurt Cobain. He just interviewed the uncle of Kurt Cobain like recently. It's his brand new video. When do you want him to come on the show? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, matinee, Saturday night, Sunday night. What's the best night for you? Let me know on the way out or in the comments. Make sure you're here for that. We'll talk soon. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much. Peace out. Mike Crawford, Young Jerks. Make sure you hit that sub button. Make sure you subscribe to American Spy Fox. I'll see you soon, everyone. Have a great night.